Welcome to America's hottest talk line. Guys, hot ladies are waiting to talk to you.
Vinegar syndrome. Guys.
There, she wrote my name like on the.
She says Yeehaw and Greg.
Yeah, like she's straddling me, and then XOXO. Yes. So,
Greg's got a girlfriend.
It's got the Mighty Ducks guy. It's got that guy.
No! Yes, but no! He's not the Mighty Ducks guy! It's Emilio Estevez! One of the Brat Pack! Jesus Christ! He was the Brat Pack before he was the Mighty Ducks is the end of his career! Jesus Christ! Get off my plane. I think Sony paid you a bunch of money to talk about all their steelbooks tonight.
This is a movie I didn't think I'd like as much as I did. I know it was like really popular because it like won some Oscars and whatever, but
Debbie does Dallas.
They actually produced crew jackets. Like the movie never went into production.
And then everybody asks about, what's it like being a part of the movie that bombed, or are we still talking about that? I said, look, I'd much rather be the leader of a squad in a movie than be the lead of a movie in the summer of '87 that no one remembers what it was.
Is anyone even there still? I don't even know.
Yeah, we're just looking into
Okay.
I was like, no one's saying it. Like,
really
is the story?
Just for instance, like, I mean, they've got all sorts of stuff. You can never have enough physical media.
That last clip still makes me laugh. It's just it was like a perfect happenstance. But hello, fellow followers. Welcome back to the Physical Media Show here on FanZcene Vids. And with me tonight are my partners in crime, my partners in physical media, the rookie critic, the new runner, and Tom from Midnight's Edge. I kind of messed up the thing there. I was doing so good. I was doing so good.
That's so good. Yeah, stick them up for your partners in crime. And I got physical media with me this time.
Finally. No, I mean, you did bring some last week. I mean,
yes. But still, now I feel like that's sort of a meme since there's like 2 weeks in a row where I didn't really bring anything.
Yeah, you got to bring the physical media on the Physical Media Show there, Rook. That's
I was just doing some opposites, It's all good.
But how you doing? Good.
Oh yeah, doing good. How's the chat doing? How you guys doing?
Yeah, how you doing, Tom?
Hi, kids.
It's tomorrow's a special day of like, if only today was that, right?
Is it your birthday?
No, it's the 29th of February, which is like, whoa! It
only comes every 4 years. That's right.
4 years, yeah. You guys gonna do anything? Do you guys do anything for the 29th? My mom said that. She was like, "You guys,
I celebrate an extra day of Black History Month, is what I do."
Connected that. I forget that's the thing. Still sometimes it's like, oh yeah.
Wait, what?
I'm going to probably treat it like any other Thursday. So that's what I'm.
My mom was like, "Hey, you guys should do some special stream." I'm like, "With what though? It's just it's an extra day of the month. Like what do you do that's
I do a
special
bunch of leap year babies and see if they're only 5 years old. So
yeah, just try to give birth on that date and then have them, it'll be another 4 years before we celebrate your birthday. So don't worry,
that happens.
Yeah.
But let's say hello to the chat real quick, and then we have Random Brad Creator, welcome, and then we have Tim Hayes, hell to you, Tim Hayes. We have Style Section, hell Style Section, glad to have you here. Hell Brian Barth, glad to have you with us. What is up, RJ Godzilla? Glad to have you here. Ace Hanlon, let's go. Exactly. RJ, yeah. Sorry, excuse me. And hell to Hollowfield, my dude, Hollowfield. I'm patiently waiting for Up All Night Part 2. I'm really looking forward to that. So we have the lovely Sherry. What's up, the lovely Sherry? Hey, how are you? Hello, Terry Scott. Hell to you. Howdy, Dobo Fett. Glad to have you with us as always as well. Let's see who else we got here. We got with the Reverend Jim with us.
He used to have a lot of gall.
He's got the dude pocket. Yeah, I used to have a lot of gall. Now I don't. I don't have no gall at all. or
Tom,
gallstone.
this is an adult stream, but it's YouTube still, okay?
Hello.
Final Fred down there.
We'll
Found some
just tell
spice.
your mom we ate it all. What is up, Tyrell72? Good evening, live long and prosper. What is up, Pokerface6666? Hell to you. Let's see, who do we got here? Then I believe that's it. Welcome, one and all to the Physical Media Show. Everybody out there in the chat, everybody watching at home. Brian Barr says you got the Criterion Blu-ray on the waterfront, the signature edition of The French Connection, and The Shining. Oh, some nice pickups there. Nice pickups, yes. Good pickups. But with all that being said, let's get into some of the upcoming releases. So does everybody know what's coming out or not?
Well, evidently, fucking Scream Factory's got their hands on Killer Clowns 4K. I was hoping it was going to be Arrow, but
yeah,
are they holding it hostage?
So was I, because I have the Arrow Blu-ray, and I was really hoping that they would do the 4K.
Right. Looks like American Sniper's getting a UK release.
Sad.
Oh, go ahead.
Yep. No, I was gonna say it's kind of sad when you used to love like Scream and Shout Factory. Now you're kind of like, oh, they're getting this title. I wish so and so would have had this title. You know what I mean? That's how bad they've fallen.
Care.
Right. But go ahead if you continue with what you were saying there.
Oh, we just also have American Sniper, which is getting a release UK, but I believe it eventually come to the US. The Lost Boys is getting a Steelbook trilogy, a Walmart exclusive. Glory is coming back to 4K in a Steelbook. I'd imagine this is, I don't think it had a just a standard HDR grading and all that stuff before, probably is why. So it'll probably get, you know what Sony does.
Yeah.
It looks like there's going to be some more Steelbooks coming to Walmart. We can bring that picture up if you want to here.
Okay.
If I can actually get.
I know we're getting Crybaby on 4K from Kino.
Yeah, we got that one already. Yeah, the director's cut's only gonna be on Blu-ray though, but at least it's on Blu-ray. VHS, Color of Space, Rad, Hollow Man, One Cut of the Dead, Ghostland, or Prisoners of the Ghostland, Street Fighter, Children of the Corn, and Anaconda are all getting Steelbook releases at Walmart.
I've already seen some of these at my Walmart.
Yeah, so these are all coming. And some of these I believe are most of these I believe are or all of them are Mill Creek. Although I'm not sure about Color of Space and Prisoners of Ghostland, because those are actually 4K. And is this that new Children of the Corn one, or is this the original?
I think that's the new one. Maybe. I'm not really sure.
That's one I gotta check into, but yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Nice.
Excuse me.
No.
Eyes Wide Shut is being rumored, of course. Let's see here. Creature from the Black Lagoon is getting a separate 4K release. Belladonna of Sadness is coming in May, it looks like, from Discotech Media. Crimson Peak is coming also in May from Arrow. Of course, we got more looks at the Crow Steelbook. The Zavi Steelbook already sold out.
Yep.
Narc is already coming to 4K in May from Arrow. They have an Oceans Trilogy box set, which pisses me off because a Steelbook has already pre-ordered the separate ones, so we'll see how that works out for me. Speaking of which, I've already had some problems with Walmart getting a Steelbook to me. They damaged my Wonka Steelbook, and I can't get a replacement.
Oh, man. Yeah, I kind of figured this was going to be coming with Walmart since they're doing this.
Yeah, they're just going to have to learning curve. But I'm going to have to find a way to complain to them about it.
Yeah.
If I cared more about it, then I'd actually.
Did they just start doing that now? Right?
No, they've had them for a while, but this is one of the first times they've had like a major exclusive one.
Oh, okay.
Steel Magnolias, I think we brought up last week, but we didn't have a date. That's coming April 23rd from Sony. Walmart also has a bunch of glow in the dark 4K steelbooks right now, including Battlestar Galactica, Fast X, Godzilla vs. Kong, and Dune.
Glow in the dark,
the newer one. Yes.
Huh, I have not seen a glow in the dark DVD case or disc case.
Yeah, but a Sniper is also being rumored to be coming from in May from Warner Brothers here in the U.S. side of things. So
Yeah.
And I believe that's all the new stuff we got. Rumors, unless there was anything else. I thought there was something from Kino, besides Crybaby. I thought maybe I'm wrong.
Let me check real quick. I know with all the Scream Shout Factory stuff that was well, it's not been announced by them, but I saw all the rumors for that they have. Let's see. I know Island of Dr. Moreau looks like coming from Scream, and Dracula 2000 Blu-rays.
We got a date on Departed. That's April 23rd. I don't know if we brought that up last week.
Yeah.
I mean, we brought the movie up, but we didn't have a date yet, I don't think.
Yeah. I think that, did you say the Millie or whatever Steelbook coming from Sony? It's a French movie or whatever. The Emily, yeah.
No, I didn't, but nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, no, that I figured that. So I'm looking through Kino stuff now to see. Did we mention the Glory 4K Steelbook?
Yes. And I said I believe that the original version is just a
okay.
HDR, and I think this one will have HDR 10 plus and Dolby Vision, I'd assume.
Yeah.
I would assume so, because that's what they like to do.
It's Glory, that Morgan Freeman one.
That's Morgan Freeman in Glory.
Yeah.
We are Americans, all of us.
Yep.
And they do crawl through a mile and a half of shit.
Yes. I remember that movie.
Get busy living.
Tyrell once said,
get busy dying.
Get busy dying. Shawshank Redemption. Tyrell 72 says, do you guys think Apple will release Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, and Masters of the Air on physical media?
The latter, not so, probably not, but I'm assuming Killers of the Flower Moon and Napoleon will. They'll probably go Blu-ray standard first and then get a 4K eventually. I think Criterion did Irishman and is supposed to be doing Irishman in 4K, so I would assume probably a similar thing here. Scorsese has a pretty good relationship with the Criterion collection.
Yeah. So there you guys have it. I hope there's anything there that interests you coming soon to Blu-ray or 4K. Some decent titles.
Nothing big yet. We've already gotten a lot of announcements already.
Yeah. Some really good ones are coming down the lane that we've talked about already. But with that being said, Rookie. Speaking of which, Debbie Does Dallas. That just popped in my head. It's actually on sale right now on Amazon on DVD for $20. So
the original?
Yes, the original DVD.
They need a Blu-ray of that, damn it. And Deep Throat.
They do have a Blu-ray of it.
But I think
it's
like I don't think
$30. Go ahead.
It's a real Blu-ray though. I think it's
it's
480p on Blu-ray. But Debbie Does Dallas 2 has a Blu-ray. But
yeah, you're right. It's the Blu-ray is actually just the DVD version put on a Blu-ray. It's not even upscaled really.
Well, I can believe it because a lot of those earlier ones they should have prints of them still to make a Blu-ray out of. I mean, come on.
You would think, especially with that one. But
Debbie Does Dallas and Deep Throat and Devil and Miss Jones, all those, you would think.
Yeah. So if Runner's listening, it's on sale, Runner. You can buy it.
Get it.
Run, Runner, run, boy.
Run, Runner, run.
Get it.
Run, Runner, run.
Run. I hate you so fucking much. Whenever you say that, I love saying it. Rook, what do you got for us? What's your first pick of the night with your actual physical media in the house?
Just sit right back and you hear a tale of a fateful trip. Boom.
That needs a Blu-ray bad.
Yeah.
What? It needs a Blu-ray?
Yeah, I'd love to have it on Blu-ray.
Indeed, yes. Gilligan's Island. I was like, oh my god, I can afford to. Oh yeah, it's like, I want to see some Gilligan's Island. I'm like, oh shit, I can just buy it. Duh. There you go. What do you know? And so I will plan to watch this at some point. I did not have a chance to watch all these yet, but it's got all 42 hours of the 3-hour tour, of course. It's got commentary by the creator.
3-hour tour in history.
Yes. It's got 17 discs, all 98 episodes, including the pilot episode. It says rarely seen pilot episode, not part of the regular series. It's got a bunch of featurettes, what's a featurette exactly?
It's like a special feature where they
It's not a full-length documentary, but it's shorter than.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a 5-minute talking of something that happened
like
on the
a little
show. With some
short.
of the,
I gotcha. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. But yeah, I got that. I grew up. See, I'm one of the ones where I'm born in the mid '90s, so I'm past a lot of the shows that were popular before that, maybe. But I had the Brady Bunch and Gilligan's Island and stuff. So those were the couple of pieces of the old culture still, that were there. That would grow up, you'd be on TV Land and stuff, and watch those. I think we would record them here and there to catch them again sometimes.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, Gilligan's Island's always
I
a
thought
little
that's
funny one. I have not rewatched it since I was a kid, though. So, like, I'm curious if I'll still find a lot of it funny, or if I'll be like, I don't know. But I can remember a lot of the stuff right now as we speak. Still, it's stuck in my head pretty good. It wasn't like that forgettable. So, it's a
good show.
fun little show.
The fun trivia is the Magnificent Seven killed Gilligan's Island because the studio exec's wife liked Magnificent Seven better than Gilligan's Island. So that's why I only got 3 seasons. So
Wow.
yeah, sadly. But if I remember correctly, doesn't that set come with the movie, the Return of Gilligan's Island movie?
All the
I think it's one of the
episodes.
movies on there, aren't they?
Yeah, I believe that. If I remember correctly, this has the movie.
I don't know. It says all the seasons. It says all the episodes. It says the extra stuff. I'm not seeing the movie listed on here.
I could have sworn, from what I remember, that was on there.
It's not. I ain't seeing that on here unless y'all see something I'm not seeing.
No, I can't. I can't see it.
No, it just says the complete series. I think this is just the TV show collection. I didn't know that I got it on Amazon. I don't know if there was like a box set or something that includes the movie. I didn't know that TV shows. I didn't know that there was box sets that include the movie with the TV shows. I usually think that they're separate. From what
especially
I can tell.
TV reunion movies. We mean,
yeah.
Okay.
It wasn't like a movie.
Yeah,
It was in theaters. It was a TV movie.
Mm-hmm. A TV movie. Okay, well, that would make sense if they included it. Well, I mean, it said, it might be in there still. It said rarely seen episode. So, I mean, one that wasn't aired on the regular season. So, I don't know. I do not know. But, yeah, I mean, the last thing I remember from one of these, I don't know if it was supposed to be the actual season finale or if it was just a random episode, is when they leave the island and they actually make it back to land, and then they for some reason go on another trip and then end up on the island again.
That's
the
movie.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
okay.
the
Okay. Well, that's why I was mentioning that because I wasn't
Gilligan's
sure.
Island or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just because again, I only saw the show on TV. So I wouldn't know the difference when I was younger. What was a TV movie and just compared to the show at random, unless I'm and it was one of the ones you never just catch all the episodes. You just kind of watch. You turn the TV on and you just sit on, and there you go. So yeah.
Well,
but,
it was always, it was always a good show. And Angel's question here, because Brian Barth has it pulled up here, it says Don Wells was hot in Gilligan's Island. That was Marianne. Who you guys? What do you prefer, Ginger or Marianne?
Ginger would probably give a good night, but Marianne's probably the keeper.
Skipper.
Skipper. Little buddy. What were they doing in them hammocks in them rooms?
I know, right? Well, it's like so you guys grew up with Gilligan's Island too, I assume.
Yeah, I watched Gilligan's Island all the time. That was like the thing when you would watch some old shows, like we even talked about, like you could sit and you could watch some old shows like Gilligan's Island and all them, and then all of a sudden when MASH came on, it was like, damn it, MASH. You gotta go to bed or turn the channel or something.
So you wanted binging before binging, but you're happy with what you had. No, we'll just watch TV next time. That's all good.
It's something special about that though, like being able to not have to binge.
I also think that helped us grow up a little faster too, because I mean, you just had to deal with it at certain times of the day. There was cartoons, otherwise it was adult entertainment, and if you didn't find a way to enjoy it,
yeah.
I mean, sure, Gilligan's Island was one of those. Beverly Hillbillies was another one that. Adam's Family, Monsters, ones that kids could actually kind of enjoy with the parents. But I mean, what kid wants to sit through the fucking Waltons?
No, I couldn't stand the Waltons. Waltons was so boring. Oh, but yeah, it's like back in the day,
Walton makes Little House on the Prairie look like an action movie.
right?
Oh, jeez.
It was.
But
It's just like back in the day,
Yeah, at least
there was.
Michael Landon blew up the fucking town.
It's true.
right. Everybody's mentioning Back to the Beach, which surprisingly I have seen Back to the Beach as
Oh.
well. The big Kahuna and Gilligan
love
and
that
Skipper
movie.
have a little cameo in it for some reason. I don't remember why. If it was just like, hey, look, that'd be funny if they were in it. I
It
don't
was
know.
just all calling back to the 1960s nostalgia. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's on Blu-ray. It's a really good Bluray from Paramount
I
Presents.
think, I think I have Back to the Beach.
Yeah, it's a
So
4K
maybe if
scan.
I don't, I want to get
Yeah.
it because that was a fun movie. I remember enjoying the movie. I don't remember what the hell it was about. I remember it was a big wave. They want to surf it or something, and it's the big Kahuna.
the
They
big
keep on calling
kahuna.
it. And the one dude like drank some weird drink. He's like, "Wow, that was amazing." I don't know what the fuck it was. I was like chocolate milk or something. I don't know. When I was a kid, don't know what the hell energy drink or alcoholic drink you drank. I don't know.
You're crazy.
But I remember that's like something I remember, which is weird.
It was a good movie. I just watched that not too long ago. I brought it on the channel probably a couple months ago though.
I got
But yeah, but like we were saying, is like back in the day, the parents didn't say, here's Disney Plus, watch Moana or Cocomelon or something. Your parents were watching TV, you got to watch what's on that TV, and they didn't have cartoons 24/7. So it was just a good time, and you tend to grow to like those shows. Some of them you did, some of you didn't. I mean, I think we can
this
appreciate
was
MASH
definitely
nowadays than we did then, but
yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like there's some like this would be one where it's like, oh, thank God there's this on. Like my dad would be able to watch it and not be like, nope, we got to watch something else. So, but then sometimes he'd pick something and I'm like, oh, good God. Sometimes he'd pick British ones, which I think as an adult I would find funny now. But when I was a kid, I'm just like, oh Jesus, ugh,
that's something I did
no.
too. I watched the British shows on TV. I love those. Are You Being Served and Monty Python? I would watch those.
It's like I don't know
them.
what ones they were, but they were definitely not ones like that. Because my dad does not
Mr.
like.
Bean.
My dad doesn't like vulgar. He did not watch Mr. Bean. Did not watch Monty Python. It was like whatever, just kind of boring ones. Like there's always like an old lady, an old man, or something, and there's like a weird superhero guy that just looks really cheap and lame, and it's just like God, fall asleep.
He wants some old British detective shows.
Something like that. I don't know. I'd have to ask my dad what if he remembers what those shows were.
Yeah, well, Brian Barth in some ways, yes.
This snooty British shit.
You sounded like that dude. That guy, the coach from Major League.
That's what it is. But he's like on the bed. He's like, yeah, and they're like, I love this snooty British shit.
Say, where do I know that from? That's Major League. That's what I was saying. When he's jumping on the bed. that was pretty spot on because I almost thought that was like the actual clip there for a minute when I heard that.
It's always a leg thing, or an arm thing, or a heart attack thing. Who used heart attack? Me.
Oh, I can't wait for the 4K of that. I want that Steelbook so bad.
That's the second one, but yeah.
But
I know people forget how good the second one was, and I
one
still
was
stand by the third one. Third one's a lot of fun. Sure, it's not the same, but yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, Scott Bakula's good in it, and you get a few of the classic guys. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to Gilligan. Gilligan's great. Yeah, no, I mean, I remember the Scooby-Doo episode.
Oh, yeah.
They had a Scooby-Doo one with them. Nice. I did not know that.
Scooby-Doo would do this thing like after I think it was after
they were the Globetrotters. They were with the Pussycat Dolls.
They had basically what were called the Scooby-Doo movies. So every Saturday you get an hour and a half long. Well, it was an hour when it was cut down without commercials. Yeah. Episode of Scooby-Doo, and it'd have like Batman one week and Gilligan's Island the next, the Globetrotters, like you said. I mean, shit, I think the Partridge Family showed up and the Brady Bunch showed up.
That was just like a show for a while, right? It was just like
it was just like they would have every week. Don Knotts was on it.
What guests will be on the show this time?
It was literally Phyllis Diller was on it. God, I got them all, but like the Blu-ray they put out is missing like 2 or 3 episodes, and I think one is the Addams Family episode, and I can't remember the other one. but there's like one or two of them that are missing, and I think it's a licensing issue, but yeah.
Yeah, I miss when they used to do that. With like, I mean, that was Scooby Doo's cartoon. They were doing like a weekly sitcom where they guest starred. Like that's fun. I like that. I remember those.
I think Andy Griffith was on one too, if I'm not mistaken.
Him and Barney and Mayberry.
I don't think Barney was. Well, Barney was on a different one. He was as Don Knotts, but then I think Andy Griffith was on one too. But yeah, I can't remember. There's a bunch of. There's like 12 or 13 of them all together. But
yeah.
I mean, I might bring this on again once I actually rewatch the show. But
Three Stooges. Yep.
That'll be a while from now before I do that. So
yeah, they had the animated version of the Three Stooges on there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah. I do kind of wish maybe they went from another season or two, but also at the same time, it's hard to say because
it's one of those shows that it almost needs to run in this cyclical, never-ending kind of form, right? Like, vicariously, we've probably all seen them all. We all know the famous episodes. Mm-hmm. If somebody brings one up, usually it's just, it's just one of those shows. Yeah, it's just one of those shows that's set up perfectly to kind of just continue on, and the absurdity is usually like somebody will show up on the island that gets off the island, but they don't, right? Like that's usually that's
usually how they have the events happen, right? Because how else will they have a new thing and the old one not linger? Like you gotta get them off, and that's always a funny little joke. I mean, I feel like their dynamic, how they come up with, all right, so a rich old couple, a movie star chick, these guys, Captain and his mate, Marianne. What was Marianne's thing?
She was a farm girl.
There's farm girl, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, all right, now they're on this boat, and then they get on the island, and there's a professor too. It's like, wait,
it's
why?
Funny because like in the original, like the first season, they didn't have the line Professor and Marianne in the song because they weren't. I can't remember. They weren't going to be full cast members or whatever at the time, or for whatever. They just recorded that.
They were going to kill them off earlier.
No, like they already had the song in the bag, so they didn't put their names in the thing. And like Gilligan, the actor Bob, whatever, went and he's like, "I'm going to quit the show if you don't put them in the opening title." Because people were complaining that they weren't in the opening title.
Oh,
and
really?
it's like, and they said, no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to change it because we've already recorded it, put it out there. And he's like, I'm going to quit the show if you do not put
the whole song to put it out there with that.
So they went back and just they kept the song the same, and then at the end they just added in the Professor and Marianne here on Gilligan's house. So that's how they got it.
It's funny because it sounds tacked on, but it also sounds like it fits perfectly. Like it was one of those like, and they're here too, and we're at the island. Let's go. But it's like but that's like part of the end. Yeah, there you go. That's a good little ending to it.
But it's like that line in it made me think, speaking of Gilligan's Island and like how it should always be sort of cyclical. It's just the line from Galaxy Quest when they say like, you don't think Gilligan's Island is real, and they goes, oh, those poor people. They're like stuck on that because they think it's real. So yeah,
well, it's like I always thought it was fun. It was like, oh, you get to be on an island, you're off society, you get to kind of have your own way you rule it around here, and they're able to make weird little kooky inventions with the materials on the island for some reason and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh, I got the radio to work. Sweet. Okay. I got a shower this time. Oh, but not that time. Little funny episodes.
It's a good show. That's one of the.
Imagine if they remade it now.
I don't
see the butchering. That. Imagine the butchery they would do to the show. Like,
I mean, there would be a lot of race and gender swapping.
It's like, first of all, no white people, so the whole cast is replaced. Yeah.
The Howls would be the villains of the story. So.
Yeah, definitely. Well, they'd be the only ones kept white, of course.
And they would be bad guys.
Yeah. Well, then again, it would
have been set up. They sabotaged the boat somehow because Mr. Howells wanted for embezzlement or something, so he was trying to get away. Some stupid shit like that, and
yeah. Be horrible.
And I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling
kids. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Meddling Gilligan.
Yeah.
Gilligan. Of course, he would look like the Crow now. That's what.
Yeah. And he'd be gay. Yeah. Well, actually, Gilligan would be race swapped, so it'd be a black chick.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Who'd be gay.
Well, Why are you talking to me like that, Skipper?
Oh, that would be horrible. But great first pick there, Rookie.
Ricky.
I don't know why I called you Ricky. But that's actually
a different show. That's the I Love Lucy show, man.
be too bad, really, Random Brad.
Ryan Gosling.
I could actually kind of see Ryan Gosling as a professor, but yeah, they wouldn't do that though. Anyways, good first pick, Ricky. Tom, let's go to you. What do you got for us for your first pick?
All right. Let's see here. First, I decided to check out this classic Western that we got from Kino Lorber. Comes from 1957. It's called Gunfight at the OK Corral. And this is probably the movie that people most bring up when Tombstone comes up because they cover a lot of the same ground. But the big difference between the two is this is more of a story on the front end of how they met and became friends, as opposed to Tombstone, which is all about more or less the ending of their friendship and life together. And this is obviously the extremely historically inaccurate in comparison. Even Tombstone, as much bullshit is in there. Like, this is even like, I mean, basically the concept is some of this stuff kind of sort of happened, but this is way off mark. And I mean, like, the gunfight itself lasts for like almost 5-10 minutes. It's
right
in that respect. But no, otherwise, though, it's a fun Western. You got Frankie Lane, literally, like, you could tell this is where Mel Brooks got the hero in a blazing saddle, because that's through the whole movie. The same guy who sings that, singing through the whole thing is, you know, like, Doc and Wyatt, best friends, traveling across the Western Front. Oh, okay, Corral. I shit you not. That's the whole fucking movie. Like, throughout the whole thing, you got the music in the background singing the story to you, and it's I couldn't help but just smile and giggle and laugh through the whole thing. Kirk Douglas is great in it, though. Burt Lancaster, not the best Wyatt Earp in the world.
He's not.
But I'm watching this, and I'm like, fuck, we missed out at one point. Burt Lancaster would have made a great Superman. Great Superman. Like, he has that same look, body type, voice, the way he stands, holds himself. It would have been like a proto Christopher Reeve Superman.
Yeah.
Like, I would have loved to have seen him do that in the 40s or something like that as one of the originals. It would have been great. But that being said, the movie itself is fun. You got a young Dennis Hopper in it. You got Levon Cleef, I think, was in it too for a bit. You know, it's a fun John Sturgis Western. It looks great. It's Technoscope, I think, not Technicolor, but it looks really good. It's from the negative. And this is, I don't know if this is an older scan or if Paramount went back and rescanned it, because I've had this one on digital for years. Right. And it looks better on this version than it ever looked before. So I don't know if they just, it was just because it was a decent enough scan from the negative that it looks good. Now I'm waiting to hear if, like, that damn fool Idealistic Crusader does a review on it and see what he has to say about it, because I did notice he's going to complain about the audio for sure. Because the audio is only 5.1 and they have a 2.0 mix on here, but it's just basically sounds like the 5.1 mix folded down into a 2-track stereo mix. So that's not a true mono mix, obviously. And he's going to say something about that. Yeah. But to me, it did sound like a 5.1 mix that was doing a pretty good job of emulating like a 3-channel surround mix or something like that we would have got back then on a big, you know, movie like this. So I mean, it's not real not a lot reverberating from the rear channels, but a lot of the music and some of the ancillary effects are coming from the left and right and stuff like that, but nothing like completely out of place. Nothing sounds too modern to me. No, I thought it's a pretty decent film. Obviously Tombstone's a much better film.
Yes.
DeForest Kelly's in it too. I forgot about that. He plays one of the Earp brothers.
Right, he is.
But yeah, no, it's one of those movies, like, especially if you're a fan of Tombstone, you should check out.
Yeah,
Just kind of like a
precursor.
kind of. I mean, again, it's not the same exact
Yeah.
story, but it's similar because it starts out where you see where they first met, which is actually kind of close to how they met in real life.
Mm-hmm.
But the weird thing is, it's like kind of like in real life they met because he met him at a bar and he asked him for some info because somebody said he knew where these guys were, and he gave him the info. And then later on, he had actually, I think, stood up for Doc or something like that in an incident that happened that helped get Doc off on some charges. And that part's kind of in here too, but they kind of like meld the two. But Doc tells him to fuck off, basically. In the movie, in real life, he helped him, and that's kind of where they started becoming friends. And then from there, they rode and had a few adventures together here and there until their final big thing was, the whole Tombstone and getting the cowboys. And then they had a disagreement at some point and never spoke again. So, like, of course, the Tombstone thing where he went back to see him before he died is complete bullshit.
Yeah.
Because for those who don't know, the rumor is that this is what's stupid about this, considering these guys, the shit they went through. Wyatt was dating a chick at that time. I think it's the same one that's that they present in the movie.
Right.
And she actually was like part Jewish or had a Jewish background, and he was reverting. And so he called him a goddamn Jew lover. And fucking that did it. That was it.
Friendship is over.
Yep, friendship over. And they never spoke again after that, I guess. So, yeah.
No,
it's just silly that it came to something like that, of everything that they did together and went through together and the loyalty that Doc had to him and vice versa. Because, I mean, that's the other thing that this movie, I think, does do a good job of showing that Tombstone kind of doesn't. And that was Wyatt being the political, policeman type, always got a bad rep while hanging out with Doc. And Doc, same thing on his side of the tracks, would always get, razzed and shit like that for being and not trusted as much because he was friends with Wyatt.
Yeah.
So, he would get shit about all the time, like, because he hated cops too, right?
He's going to snitch on us to your friend Wyatt.
Exactly, yeah. And the only time he ever snitched on anybody was just the one time, and it had very little to do with him or unrelated to him, and he just happened to know where these guys were going, and he just pointed him in the right direction or whatever. And like I said, that's kind of presented in the movie from my memory of, history. But yeah, when it comes to like Doc Holliday, Wyatt, Billy the Kid, those are my favorite historical things. And actually, I don't remember if I even said this the last time we were just talking about Young Guns here recently. I'm starting to come around to thinking that Bushy Bill was really was really Billy the Kid.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, because if you go back and look, there's a lot of shit that doesn't add up, especially like, I mean, I think the movie Young Guns 2 did a pretty good job of presenting some things that even didn't come to light until more recent years. But yeah, anyway.
Now, I was gonna say, you and my dad would get along like big time, because like he's always watching the History Channel or A&E about Billy the Kid and Wyatt are always in.
Well, Billy Kid is one of those that's basically him and Doc Holliday are probably the two closest to an actual Western hero. Because the funny thing is even though he's presented in a way that he's like this crackpot shot and all that stuff, Doc Holliday is one of the worst shots in Western history. He has been in more gunfights where he's missed than he's ever hit anybody. He accidentally shot one of his friends once, actually.
Well, he had tuberculosis, so.
But he was good with a knife, and that's kind of more so what this movie shows, is he's a bit better with the knife than.
Yeah. But yeah, I've seen that That's seen a long time ago though. But I did watch with my dad because, like you said, my dad, you and my dad would get along big time. He's gone to not really like what's his name anymore. What's that guy? The other was
the Mighty Ducks.
Jesse James. No, Jesse James. It's like once you learn more about Jesse James, you realize Jesse James was not a good. He's pretty bad, and you should be praising him.
No, Billy's the only one that every time you go through what he did, it was always out of self-defense or nobility. They can never attribute an actual cold-blooded murder to Billy the Kid.
That's true.
Outside of the two cops that he killed to escape. And now this is where I'm starting to wonder. There's people that are speculating that Pat Garrett was the one that helped him escape, because it doesn't make any fucking sense that Pat Garrett left. And when he went down into the outhouse, they're saying that he didn't steal that other cop's gun. they are saying that Pat Garrett planted another gun in that outhouse, and there's now more proof than ever. They've come across some things that basically might prove that those 2 or 3 of those guys all knew each other, and this whole thing was set up to help Pat win sheriff and get up the ranks and shit like that, while Billy could get the fuck out of Dodge and never be seen again.
it makes it. It's very logical. It's very logical.
He just fell in love with a girl and he wanted to get the hell out of there. And the funny thing is the girl that he fell in love with, her brother is the one that turned him in.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, either he was jealous of her or he was helping her out. And that's the thing, is people have said now that those 3 used to work together back in the day. And that's where the movie, it was right in Young Guns too, because I was always like, I don't know if those 2 really knew each other. But I guess they did not only work together, but the 3 of them all worked together at the same place, they found out here recently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and there's other things that they've been kind of uncovering that kind of question more of what people have considered his history, and the stuff that Bushy Bill might have said might be more accurate, especially how they keep records back then and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I mean, it's still rumored for part 3 of Young Guns, so you never know.
Well, and that's where I'm starting to wonder what they'll do, is that they'll probably take Bushy Bill's story, because what he did after he left, basically, Young Guns 1 and 2 already covered Billy the Kid.
Yeah. But
what he did after that is he became, his Oliver, and took his cousin's name, Oliver Roberts, and was known as Bushy Bill Roberts. And he actually went down to like South America and shit. And he fought in a bunch of wars and all kinds of other shit, is what he claimed. And he's got the scars to prove it. And there's people that back him up, because that's the funny thing, is the only reason he got found. And that's another thing I didn't know about before recently too, that I'm like, wait a minute here, that changes everything. Is I thought he came out to the press because he just wanted to get a pardon and all that. That was his excuse. He did want to get a pardon, but he didn't come out to the press. It was the fucking governor that called the press. He just was supposed to have a meeting with the governor, and the governor made a big to-do about it. And then fucking he had a stroke because of that, because the press was there and they were asking him a bunch of questions and shit. It's like, well, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, because he didn't want his fucking wife to know. It's like, if he's trying to fucking bamboozle everybody, then why wouldn't he have been doing it for years and trying to cash in on it? He never cashed in on it. In fact, he died 2 years after that. Yeah, so that's the other thing, is like, it's more believable. And there's people that actually claim that they knew who he was, and people he would have fought with and other things like that. There's a lot of people. And then there's a lot of people that also, at the time that it happened, they uncovered and this was the other thing that really set me off on this, and then I'll stop because we got other shit to talk about anyway. There was a newspaper that was found from that era. And in that newspaper, it even has conflicting things about his death than what's in the actual report. And this is where people aren't sure, because here's the thing, is people to this day, and this is where your dad's probably told you this shit. To this day, people think he killed either a kid that Billy was hanging out with, or one of the kids that worked at the farm that he was at, that he supposedly got shot at, because they're still saying to this day, nobody's seen the body publicly.
Yeah, they buried him as soon as they shot him.
They buried him as soon as they could. They had 7 people sign off, and 2 of them wouldn't even sign off on it or whatever.
Yeah, because they said it didn't look like him or whatever.
Yeah, it was that, they think it was either that Mexican kid that worked at the farm, or the kid that was Bowery kid that was with him that night at the bar earlier that night, because he wanted to get something to eat, but Billy wasn't hungry. And the kids saw the 2 cops sitting outside and went in the room, and that's where Pat Garrett was, and Pat Garrett shot him. And even in that newspaper, in the report, in the newspaper, but not in the actual report of the cop report, he says, "I don't think you shot the right guy, Pat."
Yeah. Yep.
He goes, "I think that's the other kid." And Pat's like, "No, it has to be him. I know him anywhere." Well, here's the other thing, and it shows it in the movie. Pat Garrett kept shooting the wrong fucking people.
It's true. It's true.
So he's already on fucking hot water. He's just lucky the other guys were already lawmen. So that's where they're thinking this kid was an innocent. So he did this just to cover his ass.
Yeah. That's true. That is
true. And he knew that Billy would just run. So there's like 3 different scenarios that it could possibly be. One is what he said is the truth. He killed him that night, blah, blah, blah. 2 is they had it set up from the start. Or 3, it just happened to be convenient circumstances, and Pat had to get off quick, and Billy needed to get the fuck out of town anyway.
Yeah.
Because, again, Billy had never killed anybody in cold blood. It was always in in defense of himself or because of when he was one of the regulators?
Yeah. And he's the only one that, honestly, he's the only Old West story that you can actually believe survived. Like a lot of the other ones, is like, yeah, maybe there's something there, but like, yeah, Jesse James was shot in the back of the head and all that, and Billy the Kid though has enough doubt in it where you go, I think he lived, So there's enough there. There's enough there for that. But
yeah, me too, Brian. Yeah, that's one. I'm not a big history person, but when it comes to the Old West, I love the Old West. That's why I love Deadwood, because to me that's, as far as I know, one of the most accurate westerns there is.
Yeah, that was a great show. Got it
You'll never hear cocksucker said more eloquently. Not two cocksucker, one cocksucker. Bring him here, cocksucker here. Switching.
Oh, switching. Oh, Timothy Oliphant and him were awesome in that show. Oh, it was a great show. Yeah. Okay, I guess we'll move on to me. But the Gunfight, okay, Corral, worth it?
Yeah. It's available now through Kino. Yeah.
All right. Well, since we sort of talked about Billy the Kid and Rookie knows him as Emilio, I did watch an Emilio Estevez movie, Judgment Night, from the 90s.
Oh, I don't have that one on Blu-ray.
Yes,
I didn't know it was.
Emilio
Archive
Estevez.
collection, though.
Yeah, archive. It's not the best. This is clearly an inner positive. It's not the
well,
best.
most of them are usually.
But it's worth it. I hate the cover, though. I really, really hate the cover. I don't like. I mean, not that it had a special cover to begin with, but it's. I just don't like that cover.
Neither one of those, I think, are the. Well, I mean, the bottom part is the actual poster.
Yeah, the bottom part.
But I think the one on the left is actually closer to the original poster I remember.
This one.
Actually, I remember the other one more so, but.
Yeah.
Maybe that one's like a teaser poster. I don't know.
Maybe, who knows? But I hadn't seen this in a long, long time. And it's just, when we started talking about Billy Kids and all that, and Emilio Estevez not too long ago, I was like, I want to watch Judgment Night. It's not the best looking copy, but it looks good. It's good. It's good enough on Blu-ray. For anybody who's not seen it out there, this is actually a pretty solid 90s action thriller type movie. So Emilio Estevez and his three friends, Cuba Gooding Jr., Jeremy Piven, and Stephen Dorff, are going to go into the city from their nice suburban home to watch a boxing match. They get stuck in traffic in this nice, like, fancy RV that Jeremy Piven's character, because he's like the rich guy who's taking them and everything, and they decide to there we go. Maybe that is the original, I guess.
It just looks weird because of the white and not the gray.
Yeah, it should be a little darker. There you go.
But there is a poster almost exactly like it that's kind of like the one you have there, but it's got different font. I was going to say, here's the original. I think you got a re-release there.
Yeah, I think this
or the Canadian version, because this is the Universal video.
This is Good Times.
Yeah.
Good Times, yes.
Yeah, so something's off with the font. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that was the video one, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I remember. That one
on the one you showed me. I'm like, wait a minute.
So it's a little off. It was Good Times. What can you say?
Yeah, that makes sense.
What can you say? But yeah, it's a fun movie. They get stuck in traffic, and Jeremy Piven's bright idea is to go off the expressway and go down into the lower parts of Chicago, the city, and they end up witnessing a murder. And Dennis Leary, who chews up the damn scenery as the bad guy, he's great as the bad guy. Starts hunting them down through the city and to take them out because they saw them kill this guy and everything. And so that's where it's a very like tension driven movie. And what are these guys going to do? These like suburban type guys who think they're badasses and aren't really badasses, and then they have to be badasses and stuff up against Dennis Leary and his gang of people hunting them down. So it's a really pretty good, solid movie. I remember renting it a lot from the theaters. It was never a big hit in theaters, I don't believe, but I remember renting it a lot from the video store. I should say, not theaters, video store. And it's a good time. And I was this after? I gotta remember if this was after. No, it wasn't. This was before Jerry Maguire, because Jerry Maguire was 96, so this was 93. I think this is one of Cuba Gooding Jr.'s first time out in a big movie where he was one of the stars. But yeah, it's a fun movie, Rook. I think you would dig it. So Emilio Estevez at his best, and it was it was fun because like once you've seen Emilio Estevez as like the Brat Pack guy, and then Mighty Ducks, then you see him in a movie like this. So it's a fun one. It's a fun one. I do recommend the Blu-ray. I mean, it's not the best looking scan. You could tell it was not one of like the 4K type scans we're getting now with some of the Warner Archive collections. But it looks good, and it's just fun. It was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. They just really truly don't make movies like this anymore. Gladiator. Oh yeah, Gladiator. I forgot Gladiator with Cuba Gooding Jr. Yeah.
Has a hell of a soundtrack. I know that. I barely remember the movie though. I've not seen it since probably before Rookie was born.
Yeah, it's got a hell of a soundtrack. Probably. It's well worth it. It's only like $17.99, I think, on Warner Archive, at least from Amazon. Yeah.
You have to wait and see if it goes on sale. I like to get them when they're under 15. Because that to me feels like a better price point for the archive collection. Because they never really. I wish they'd work on putting some more special features.
Yeah, this has none whatsoever.
None of their archive collection usually does, unless it's something carried over from the DVD.
It's true. It's true. Yeah, I literally just bought this because I was thinking about it and I had not seen it, and so I paid the $17.99 because I hadn't seen it in a long time. I mean, of course, I could have popped it in the VHS, but I kind of wanted the Blu-ray, So I got that, and it's just good time, and I just love. I mean, like everybody in the cast plays it so well. In the situation, like you buy that Emilio Estevez and Stephen Dorff, who plays his brother, and Cuba Gooding Jr. and Jeremy Piven are like these suburban, like rich type guys that are in a situation they should not be in a situation in. And then Dennis Leary is just like Dennis Leary. I'm like, one of my favorite scenes is when he's killing this guy and he's drowning him, and he's talking about, I hate mother effers who will never shut up. They keep talking and they don't know when to shut up and when not to complain. And he's just like going off on this like 5-minute rant, just like killing this guy in the water. It's so good. It's insane movie. It's a great movie. But yeah, I think if you guys get a chance to see it again, go ahead, see it. Rook, I think you might like it, but it is a product of the 90s. So I think it's something a lot of us remember just running over and over again.
Alrighty, well, we shall see. So far, out of the two things I've seen, the Mighty Ducks guy, Eddie, that's pretty good.
Yeah, this one's pretty good. It's pretty good. Let's see. I think Cuba Gooding Jr.'s career just kind of faded off, and I think he got into some trouble, if I remember correctly. I don't really know. He turned down Amistad, Collateral, Ray, Hotel, Rwanda, The Last King of Scotland. Didn't know that. Oh, Brian, you got to watch Judgment Night again. Give it a watch. I would love to see you do a video on it. That would be awesome after if you did that. Because I think I would love to hear your take on it. It's a great crime thriller action type flick. Very much a cult film. But yeah, I had not seen. I probably myself have not seen that movie since the 90s, since probably the tail end of the 90s, and I didn't even own it other than the VHS. And I was just like, I got to get the Blu-ray of that. So I got the Blu-ray of that. And it was just like, I'm sitting there and watching this and I was just thinking, man, this is a damn good movie. I just really enjoyed it. But yeah, I have you, Rookie, to thanks for that, because you brought on the Mighty Ducks and reminded me of Emilio Estevez in that movie and everything. And that's just like, ever since then, that's been eating away at me to see it. So I'm like, I'm watching this again.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So there you go. Thanks, Rook. But to you, Rook, what do you got for us? What's your next pick?
All right. Next one, picked out another old one that I got here. Sure, you guys have seen Hercules at least, but have you seen Lucy Lawless, Xena?
Yeah.
They are described to me. I described them as some of the cringiest of shows, but my God, they were funny to watch. So there's always some weird enjoyment with watching the show, for sure.
Those are the shows that they were Sam Raimi produced, by the way. But here, because they were like, what do you call them? Syndicated TV shows. Back in the day, they had no network. Xena, Hercules, Baywatch. There was no network. They were syndicated across markets. And so like we as kids would stay up to like 1-2 o'clock in the morning watching Xena, Hercules, and Baywatch. Because they would play them that late at night.
Right. When there's so many episodes, honestly. This was like when they had 20.
Actually, those were on
episodes.
Saturday afternoons for me, but yeah.
Yeah.
Really? They were like Saturday, like 1 o'clock Saturday night for where we lived.
Yeah.
Good.
But I don't know. Like it was like they had some. So I watched this around when I first got Netflix. It was like one of the things I was on there for a show. So I never saw it growing up. I was like, what is this? Okay. Because I saw Spartacus first, believe it or not. And then I was like, Xena, that's got Lou Law. She was in that show. She's in Spartacus. Let me see her in Xena. A little different. A little different by a mile, but still great. And it was funny because I was getting more into film at the time as well. And so I'm able to recognize a lot of the actors that were in it. Bruce Campbell being in it for a little bit. There's quite a few other people that are in there, but I don't remember all their names off the top of my head because it's a really long show with it. But it's very weird, but I like it. This is one of the shows, like along with Hercules, that I think could, like, if they were to do a reboot in the modern day, or not in the modern day, you know, if they would reboot it today, they would be worth it. But the modern day people, of course, suck now at it. But if it was in the, I don't know, however many years back, if they were to do a reboot, they could have maybe done a good job with that premise because they had really cheap sets and cheap stuff going on, and they could have, you know, did something with it. But yeah, you know, nowadays everything gets fucked up if they reboot anything.
I don't know if you could probably do those. And
well, I think you could. I
feel
like you could, because I mean they're doing the Greek. They're doing a whole bunch of stories that are, you know, historical myths and whatnot. So I feel like you could easily do that. And with the dynamic of the characters, I feel like you could. This would be one that I think you could do. I don't know if it would have the same charm. My saying is it would probably be more like a Spartacus or like a Game of Thrones or something if they were to redo it now.
Yeah, but
that might lose it. That might
like
piss off fans. True, but
that's got to be like the cheesiness, and the cheesiness, the campiness of it really helps those shows. That's what like really drew us to them. I don't know. I couldn't see him presented as that.
I could see it presented the way I'm describing and not be as insulting as a lot of other ones are these days. But I don't know. That's where I think they could do creativity toward it. I loved Hudson Lake as Callisto. Fucking bomb. Damn. And she's got that devilish look in her eye every time. She's just fucking. That was a good one. That was good. I hated the episodes where they're like in the modern day and they're like tying some story to the show as a historical thing. Those ones kind of annoyed me. I was just like, what was the point of that? Like, was it just to have meta jokes about the show on a set? Like, I don't know. I feel like they have those kind of episodes in a lot of TV shows, though. I remember they had those like Supernatural and a couple in Stargate. Those kind of episodes were always annoying to me.
And well, there's like little bottle episodes they like to do every once in a while, just like something different.
I guess, but it just seemed pointless. It's just sort of like a way for them to, I guess, laugh at themselves. But I don't know. I didn't really see the point.
Happens. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I always thought those were fun episodes where they did it like in the modern times, and it was really still them. So I thought that was kind of funny because they were Greek gods and stuff. So like, of course, they would make it that long.
Well, no, like where they had it, where like Xena and Joxer and them like inherit the body. They like do some weird thing, and then they inhabit the bodies of their what do they call it? The other way of saying ancestor, but what's the reverse of that?
Your reverse of your ancestor? I don't know.
Well, because like they were older, and then
your predecessors.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, there's a fucking word for it, where it's the future generation of them or something. I don't know. Those episodes were like the least.
Predecessors or progeny, one of the two, basically.
Yeah, progeny, I assume, is more directly after. Predecessor could be a long time after. I think. That's hard to apply it that way, but that's pretty much all I got to say about it. I guess for now, until I rewatch the show. Then I'll probably bring it on again and whatnot, which I do plan to do one of these days. I'm in that kind of mode because I'm gonna finish watching Breaking Bad first. I'm halfway through season 3. I've been watching that show for 3 years now and not actually finishing the show. I like sometimes I like to drag it out because otherwise I'll binge it and then it's over. When I'm enjoying a show, sometimes I like to. I really like those 2 episodes. Now I'm gonna wait months before I see the next episode because then I can even it out a lot more. I wish I did that with like Cobra Kai and stuff because when you binge them and they're done, I'm kind of like, well, fuck. Like I watched it and now I know it. Like
That's
I
why
want to let it simmer on me for a while, more than a week, even like longer than a week, like just a while. To have those few episodes in, wonder what happens next and stuff, and then come back to it way later.
You like to take your time, don't you? I don't mind.
I know people are pissed off at me. They want to talk Breaking Bad with me, but I'm not done yet.
I'm always a fan of the weekly TV series thing. I don't mind the binge watch every now and then, but I prefer the weekly. I prefer the weekly thing. And that doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Sam Raimi's brother, Ted Raimi, was Joxer. Yes,
that's cool.
True.
I did not know that. That's cool.
I mean, if you just watch if you ever get to the Evil Dead movies and then you get to the series Ash vs. Evil Dead, they're all in that. Lucy Lawless.
I've seen the Evil Dead movies.
Oh, you have?
Those.
You have?
Yeah, you guys have, and I've been right here talking alongside you with them. Yeah, I've seen this.
I don't remember that you saw them, but yeah, you get to the TV show Ash vs. Evil Dead. They're all in Ash vs. Evil Dead.
I've seen the show. I've seen the movies. Right.
The show, like Lucy Lawless and Ted Raimi and a lot of the people that were actually in the Hercules and Xena shows and stuff. They're in that show.
I kind of like that in a way. It was like, so with Xena and Hercules, they kind of reused actors to play different characters, which is kind of odd because you're like, hey, they also play this other character. Why are they? Oh, they're doing a whole different character. Okay, that's something. Mm-hmm. There's something like that too when I was watching Spartacus, because again, this is all around Netflix. All these shows, I've discovered a lot of these shows from Netflix, like when they were first around. Like they had shows that were like from Stars or somewhere that I never heard of before. I was like, what is this? And like Spartacus and Arrow, where I was watching both of them like at the same time, and a lot of the actors are in the cast as well, like that are in there. And I was like, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. That one's in here. I just saw you in the other one, and I was like, what the hell?
They filmed all those in New Zealand, so yeah, all of
Makes
them.
Sense.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, you got any final words on Xena before we move it?
Was there anything people hated about the Xena and Hercules type of show? I never hear anything bad about them, which is good. It's just rare that it's like I don't hear anything really negative, other than they're cheap and they're kind of corny. But I feel like those are almost compliments for the time.
Yeah, I think for the most part, the people that like the show, and the people that didn't like the show don't really talk about it. So that's really all there is to it.
Well, no, I don't know because Xena does sometimes get brought up in the girl boss discussions.
Well, that's like sort of like this, like because there was a whole little. That's like the biggest complaint about the show for Xena is like the lesbian will they won't they between Xena and Gabrielle or whatever her name was. There was a big whole thing about that.
Really.
Yeah, that's like been since the show started. It's like, oh, they're lesbians.
Well, to me, I was just like, well, I mean, I think they could be whatever. I mean, a lot of girls will make out with each other and they're totally straight. So I don't know, or they'll say they're totally straight. I don't know. I never cared. To me, I'm like, that's not really a discussion. It doesn't really matter. Because her stuff with her is like, yeah, I love you and all, but it's like, yeah, to me, it's like Sam and Frodo. It's just like, okay, yeah, they're. If you made out, I wouldn't be shocked, but I don't even know if I'd call you lesbos. But whatever.
That was the biggest.
Because then she'll also hop in the arms of Hercules and shit. So.
Well, that's like the biggest complaint I've ever heard about that show is like everybody immediately wanted to make them look like. When it was first on, it wasn't really like talked about. There was people that talked about it, but then like as it's been out for a long time, and as long as it ran, and years, and now where we approached it was like, oh yeah, they're lesbians. It's like the greatest lesbian show ever made. So
wow, that's
like complaints.
Interesting aspect of it. Like to me, it's like yeah, they're strong bond of friends. It's kind of looking at it through the Frodo and Sam type angle, I think works better. And then if they were to make out for a sec, it's like, all right, nice. Plain.
I don't mind watching them be friends, but I mean, if they want to do something, a little something.
Again, like straight girls make out, and it's like, all right, that's not a problem with me. Doesn't have to be lesbian.
All right,
but no, like I think she'd be brought up in the like, is she a Mary Sue or a girl boss or something? I think I might have heard that here or there with discussion.
Maybe
which in a way,
nowadays,
in a way, I'd say she almost is, but not. I mean, there's so many episodes where she gets her ass totally handed to her. So it's like, I don't know. That one's kind of, the plot is more on her side for the most part. She's the protagonist of the show, but she gets kind of put in her place to all this other shit that Mary Sue's don't have.
I've literally never heard anybody say anything like this about that show.
I've never heard.
I remember, like, it was more when I was first getting into culture war stuff, and after Star Wars and Last Jedi was out, there's a few like Twitter threads or something I saw where this was discussed when compared to Rey or something. They're like, if you have a problem with Rey, you have a problem with, they listed Ripley and all them, and Xena was one of those on there, and couple of reasons why they're listing reasons why
Rey to them
or something. And it's just like at first I was like, well, sure, but then I was like, whoa, no, not at all. No way, no, not the same.
I mean, that's the first I've never really heard anybody complain about it in that sense. The biggest, like I said, the biggest complaints I ever heard was about the lesbian aspect of the show. But other than that, I've never heard anybody say that she was a Mary Sue or a girl boss or whatever, or anything like that.
And that just goes to show you that people have been trying to queer code shit forever. This is nothing new.
Yeah, that's a good point, Tom. Wow, because like in my head, I was like, well, of course they seem like they could be, but that wasn't important. So it's just like, whatever. That's anyway.
Anyways, well, at least you're bringing on stuff that you like and that you're talking about. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, see, even if I haven't watched anything this week, I have seen these, so like I can talk about them. So yeah, and these are ones I want to rewatch for sure. Definitely worth rewatching.
There you go. All right, I guess we'll move on to Tom. What do you got for us for your next pick? I don't know why I slipped into an accent.
I was going to say, I think we're going to skip me, aren't we?
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's right, because you got those. Yeah. All right, we'll go to me real quick. And I got an umbrella title here that I just picked up. And then this, once again, was a 90s movie that I had not seen in years. Clive Barker's Lord of Illusions. Let me take that little card thing off here. I don't know if who's seen this and who has not seen this. I would assume Tom has.
I have not seen this, of course.
Believe it or not, I have not.
You have not seen this one?
Yeah, I have not. I do have the fucking Shout Factory version of it. But
I'm curious what special features are on a Shout one compared to this one.
I'd have to go look for it and find it.
Yeah, but I mean, you don't have to. But I really, really enjoy this movie. I think this is a very underrated Clive Barker movie. This was his third movie he ever directed. I love the style that he chose to do in this movie. This is a 40s detective noir movie set within the world of magic and illusion, and of course the classic Clive Barker, gore and special effects and stuff that he does. It's a pretty solid movie, and this umbrella set here contains the theatrical cut and the director's cut of the movie, and I highly recommend the director's cut. That is the definitive version of the movie, and it's not one of those director's cut where it's like, oh, it's only like 5 minutes longer. No, the theatrical cut is 106 minutes. The director's cut is 122 minutes. So there was a lot of stuff that they cut out. A lot of it was like extra scenes and like scenes that lasted a little longer and a little more gore and stuff like that was cut out for the theatrical version. But this is essentially the story. Scott Bakula plays Detective Harry D'Amour, who's like a noir detective, right? It starts off in the movie. I'm not going to spoil too much because Tom's never seen it, so I'll just give you the basics here. Starts off in the movie. He had just did this case with this kid was possessed by a demon, and he saved the kid's life, but he can't get it out of his head. The like demons. Like for whatever reason, he keeps falling into these occult type detective cases. And so his buddy comes to his apartment in New York City and tells him he's got a job for him to do out in Los Angeles. It's following this guy who took some money. Simple case. So he goes out to Los Angeles, and he pretty much gets that case solved pretty easily. But then he falls into this case where these people are being killed by with illusions and magic and stuff like that. And it breaks down, and of course, there's this mythical cult leader who was that was at the beginning. They started through the movie. They bury him, and then the whole point of it is they're trying to resurrect him. And stuff like that. So I don't want to spoil. I'm trying not to spoil too much here because I don't want to spoil it for Tom or for you, Rook, if you ever see it. But this Umbrella Blu-ray here, I would assume it's the same scan as the Shout Factory one, but it looks incredible. It looks great. The Famke Janssen's in it. Scott Bakula's in it. The guy from The Mummy that is in it. The
Uncle
Benny,
John?
No, Benny.
Oh, Benny. Yeah.
Benny. He plays an illusionist in it. And it's good. It's a great cast. I think Clive Barker did a really good job on this. So I recommend this if you can get your hands on the Umbrella one, because I think the Shout Factory one is out of print. It's a little pricey because it is from Australia. This is an import. So, but if you get the right price, it's worth it. But yeah, this was really good. I don't know. I just hadn't seen this in years, and it just came out not too long ago, and I was like, I'm buying that. So, because I missed out on the Shout Factory one, and I don't know if the special features are the same or not. I'll tell you the special features on this, because I believe it has 2 new special features, and those are just interviews. But disc 1 is just a theatrical cut and the trailer, and then disc 2 has a director's cut, audio commentary with Clive Barker, the Damnation game, an interview with special effects makeup artist Howard Berger, which I think that is a new special feature. And then it has Mystery Magic interview with production designer Steve Hardy, a gathering of magic making a featurette, archival behind the scenes footage, deleted scenes with optional Clive Barker commentary, photo and conceptual art gallery, storyboard to film comparison, teaser trailer, and a note from Clive Barker. So your cat doesn't care.
No.
Yeah, but I gotta say I dig Umbrella. So this was really good. Yes, and I would say to anybody, the director's cut is the definitive version of this movie. I highly recommend it. It is a great movie. Scott Bakula is awesome. I mean, literally Clive Barker told Scott Bakula, because this is based off a Clive Barker short story that he wrote before this. And I know some fans of that short story are a little upset with the Lord of the Illusions movie because Clive Barker actually changed the story. He changed the villain and everything, because once he was writing the movie, he came up with a better story. So, when Clive Barker cast Scott Bakula as his detective Harry D'Amour, who he's been writing for years, he was like, "You're my character, come to life. You were legitimately my character." And Scott Bakula said Clive Barker told him that every time he writes a Harry D'Amour story now, he immediately thinks of Scott Bakula because that's him. Everything he envisioned in his head, that's who he is. So it worked out perfectly for him. It was perfect casting for him. And so yeah, if you guys want to check it out, Lord of the Illusions, it's a great murder mystery meets horror movie, and it's really well balanced, and it's with some great characters and some of that great 90s CGI. I mean, some of it holds up really well, but some of it's got that goofy little 90s CGI, before it was really well perfected, and it just adds a little charm to it. But there you guys go, have it. And personally, I like the changes Clive Barker made, especially with the villain, because the original villain of the story is in the movie, but he actually goes from being the main villain to being a henchman of the new villain. But he's still one of the main antagonists. But the new villain, the Puritan, the cult leader, is awesome. He's scary and creepy and everything, and he works. So yeah, there you guys have it. Check it out if you guys have never seen it. I recommend it. Yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Yes, always paying more. Saucies are always paying more. Yeah. Yeah, it's about the 50-60 bucks. I know there's a bigger set of it, which I wish I would have got, but I did not have the money for it. Because it comes from Umbrella. You could have got like it with the bigger, harder case and a booklet, a poster, and cards and everything. I just got the 2-disc Blu-ray slipcover. It's the only one I could afford, and even then, that was like $50 here in the U.S. But I think it's well worth it personally for me because I'm a collector, I'm a boutique lover, I'm a movie lover, so that works for me. But with that being said, we'll go to you, Rook, for your final pick, and then Tom's final pick.
Oh shit, that was it.
That's it. You don't have any more?
I grabbed.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Then
I want to save more for later, I guess, because I already just did 2 that I'll rewatch anyway. So
yeah. All right. Well, Tom, I guess it's to you for your final pick, since you've got a big set here, I guess you could say.
I got a few things here. Actually.
A few things, yes.
Okay, because my journey started last week watching the Spice Diver cut of Dune, as in this big, huge box set that I've shown off before, as you guys may remember. The whole big thing I showed off, So that has the Spice Diver cut, and it also has a 4K version of the film. Correctly for some reason. Anyway, I will say that the 4K version on the Arrow cut is a little bit better because it does have Dolby Vision, but it's like apples to apples practically at that point. But the only way you can get the Spice Diver cut is by watching it online or watching it in this box that I had just shown you here. But that is sadly a 720p version of it. As far as the extras, there's tons and tons and tons of extras on this. Now, the big differences between the Spice Diver cut and the original cut and the TV cut are really almost an hour of footage. And the ending is completely different. They have an ending that's a bit closer to the book on the Spice Diver cut. Because anybody who knows the book or has possibly seen the sci-fi series, which I also have the big box set up here for. See
yeah.
There, yeah.
Nice.
I haven't opened that yet.
Nice.
But yeah. I can't get my thing down here. Anyway, close enough. I'll fix it later. So yeah, then I did also watch these for the first time because the scans on these are exactly the same as the ones that are in that big box up here. The only difference is this box has a bunch of special features, the Lego worm and stuff like that, that are not on here because there's a whole DVD of special features that I guess didn't make their way on here from the DVD releases of these. Now the first one technically doesn't really hold up as well in HD. They scan the film, but all the CGI effects, so anything that has like a background effect or is done in CGI looks like complete and utter ass. But it is the more faithful adaptation of the book. Oh, and I did have this too, the original Dune Blu-ray from back in the day. But I just showed it off. Whatever. Anyway, so for the sci-fi version, like the original movie is pretty good. It does kind of have a teleplay / we're putting on a stage play kind of feeling about it sometimes, which does work against it. But for the most part, it's fairly well cast. It captures the pretty much as the book as you could hope for in a 3-part 90-minute each miniseries. And then we got the sequel 2 years later in 2003 with Children of Dune, which actually takes Dune Messiah as its first part, and then the second 2 parts are Children of Dune. But honestly, that one to me is amazing. It's actually in some ways better than they did in the first part technically, and of course by then just in a couple of years, both, with digital effects and all that kind of stuff had gone leaps and bounds. So they're able to have HD for the most part. I mean, some of these scenes look like they may be up converts, but Children of Dune holds up on rewatch much better than the first film does, which bounces between a lot of standard def and HD shots, as opposed to Children of Doom, which feels much more uniformed. Now, of course, you're going to possibly laugh at some of the effects because they are very early 2000s television.
Right.
I'm not going to say but you got like McAvoy comes in the sequel, and he steals the show, of course. And this is one of his earlier things he'd done.
Mm-hmm.
James McAvoy had playing the son of Paul Atreides. And basically, you guys are complete novices. So
yeah, I've been meaning to get to the Dune series for a while. So,
but I also watched the original Dune in 3D to get ready for Dune 2, which I watched Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
So I have seen the new one as well. So I guess, I could field questions about it, but basically the basic plot for you two who have never seen it before is this takes place like 20,000 years into the future.
Mm-hmm.
And the setup is humans had allowed robots and artificial intelligence to start doing too much for them. So they ended up having a war with the machines, kind of like Terminator kind of thing, but not exactly.
Yeah.
But after the war, they had made it basically illegal to have any AI or robots. So humans have now taken the place of a lot of jobs that robots used to have to do. So you have like humans that are actually like human computers, right? So they think and act like machines. They can calculate and do all that kind of crap real fast, stuff like that. And then you also have a group of people called the Bene Gesserit witches, which are kind of like these master manipulators throughout the galaxy, because there's like 5 or 6 planets or whatever that make up this entire group of planets that trade and work together. And what the main trading is around is something called spice. Now, basically, if you replace spice with oil, you kind of get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's basically the fuel that the navigators, which are the people who control all the traveling through space, need to do traveling, but humans also benefit from spice. It prolongs their life. It expands their mind and stuff like that. But the side effect is if you use it for so long, your eyes start to glow blue.
Right.
But otherwise, there is no real negative side effect, let's say. So it's kind of like, so basically what happens in the story is after hundreds of years of battling behind the scenes, these two families called Harkonnens and the Atreides, their family feud has kind of come to a head, right? Mm-hmm. So the Spacing Guild and the Empire has had enough of this shit, and the Harkonnens, who have been running Dune all this time, which is the planet where the spice, and the only planet where the spice is made, comes from. Basically, whoever controls the spice controls everything, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they're all working together to get rid of the Atreides house, because the Duke of the Atreides house has become very popular, and the Emperor is afraid that he's going to usurp him. So what they do is they come up with this plot to basically turn over spice control to the Atreides. And I know you're like, well, that don't make no sense. Right. Well, as the Harkonnen put it, Baron Harkonnen, the big fat guy,
I know him.
Gift, not a gift. It's basically they're setting them up to be slaughtered. So basically they have this whole plot against them by all these other houses and people and political powers working against them. And the first film is basically about that plot being set into action. And on the side of this, what you have is the House of Atreides itself, which is basically the prince, or whatever you want to call it, would be Paul. And his mother, who is the concubine of the Duke, is a Bene Gesserit witch. Okay, so remember how I said these Bene Gesserit witches have been kind of manipulating things throughout the galaxy? Yes. Well, they have been setting this religious kind of what do you call it? Prophecy. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. Prophecy within this group called the Fremens, which are the actual natives on the planet Dune, right? Because everybody else is not from Dune, but the only people that live there are the people that actually are the Fremen. So they actually own the planet, right?
Right.
And they kind of trade with the other governments, and that's kind of how they do certain things, but they're kind of like representatives of basically like the Arab nations kind of thing in this respect. Mm-hmm. So they're like a very indigenous type people live off the land, live with the land kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now in the deserts, you have these worms, these massive fucking worms. And basically this is where Tremors got their idea.
Yep.
Yeah, they're basically graboids because they go after rhythmic sounds, right? But there's basically a connection between the worms and the spice. The worms are the spice, and the spice is the worms. Okay, so they're two simpatico things there. So like you have to have worms to have spice, etc., etc., etc. But basically, after this thing gets taken over, the house gets taken over, the entire kingdom gets destroyed. The whole family gets killed except for Lady Jessica and her son Paul. And they retreat to the desert where they're taken up with the Fremen. And basically he wants to pull a jihad on the Harkonnen, who have now taken over the city, so he can gain back control. And that's kind of where the first movie leaves off. And, of course, the other movies keep going from there. But then the second movie, which just is about to come out in the next 2 days here, it picks up from where the first movie left off. And we get to see. So I'm not going to get too deep into that stuff, just in case there's people who haven't seen part 2. Yeah, from here I can kind of field any questions. As far as part 2,
yeah, you want to know part 2 is any good?
It's both half of the best and the worst adaptation of Dune ever. The first half of the movie is fucking amazing. It's better than the first part. Second half of the movie is where it goes off of a cliff, and a lot of people are going to keep singing its praises. And we actually have a video that breaks down the 2 main issues with the movie. And what could spawn into a million other problems. I have like 3 or 4 major problems with the movie, but otherwise I will say it's definitely one of those movies you got to see in the theaters. It's worth seeing it in IMAX. It's a visual experience. If you're not familiar with the books, you're probably not going to have a single friggin' clue what should be and what isn't. Right. Now, if you've seen the David Lynch Dune, yeah, you'll probably go, but wait a minute, that's not how it was there. There's some things in that version that are like the book, some things that deviate anyway, so like whatever. But if you're somebody who knows the sci-fi version of Dune, you're going to be like, hold the fuck up, time out, what is going on here? At about the third act, you're going to be just like, whoa, time out.
What are they doing?
Yeah, basically, you're going to just be like, that's not how the Force works.
Well, that's interesting because that's I've heard people saying that it's really, really good. It's really, really good. So that's the first I've heard where it's other than what's her name, Nerd Cookies. I know she liked the movie, but she didn't like.
We all did. I'd still give the movie like a 7 or an 8 out of 10.
Okay,
right. It's just there's one character and a few events that don't happen or people that are left out that are major issues for the future. And it makes you wonder what he's going to cram into the next one and what, I mean, he'll probably get 4 or 5 more movies anyway, so I ain't that worried about it. But at the same time, it's like stuff that happened that should have happened in the second film has not happened yet, if it'll ever happen at all. And it plays major roles into the sequels. And the thing is like you've seen a lot of the stuff that Dune has inspired. Star Wars had a big inspiration on. In fact, the prequels even more so, right? Like Dune is basically the story of the fall of Anakin Skywalker.
Right.
They're basically the same kind of story. They're basically, that's it. It's somebody who is very charismatic and a lot of people follow, and he thinks he's doing the right things, but in the process of these things and things happen to him that he becomes more obsessed with revenge. And then when he's called to a calling that he needs to do, he's not quite sure he can, he passes the buck on to his kids. It's kind of
hey, you guys do it. I'm tired.
Yeah, and that's really what he says. It's almost exactly that. It's like, I can't do it. You do it.
Shit, you deal with it.
I fought in this long enough.
So, I mean, he does kind of become a version of Darth Vader, but not exactly. So, like, it is kind of a, not to, like I said, not to spoil too much, but it's his character is not the problem. In fact, the new movie won me. Timothée Chalamet won me over. Like, I'm at this point where I will not call him a bad actor anymore. I won't pick on him. Maybe if he wears something really stupid, I might. But I don't hate him. I don't dislike him. He blew me away in this movie. His turn, and when it happens, it's like, that is what we should have seen in Star Wars. and you're like, damn, that's good. Stilgar, the guy that Javier Bardem plays, fucking amazing. Even though it's not exactly like the book, I do like what they changed here and what they did with him. What I don't like is kind of how they represent him in the movie. And this was another one of my problems, is they have this stupid thing where they have both North and South Fremen. And they paint the Southern Fremen as religious
Zealots?
hillbillies, basically. Yeah.
Oh, hillbillies.
And you know exactly what it's like. Yeah, they're kind of like saying it's kind of a nudge, wink, wink to the South America.
Yeah.
Southern, states in
all those
America.
in Alabama.
All those religious freaks down there,
The only
So, yeah,
good
there's
person
that.
is down.
Otherwise, it's Chani. It's Zendaya's character, and it's not because it's her playing it. It's how it's written. Okay, and it doesn't help that you have Zendaya playing it. That is the other problem. Yeah,
She's
I
in the
know.
movie.
And the problem I have here
Sorry.
with her, and not to get into spoilers, is in the book, she plays a major part in the book that is completely left out in this movie. So it's like they went out of their way to change her character, and the way Denny is presenting it to the press is like, oh, it's her story now, and she's a strong whatever, blah 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 blah. It's like, no, she already was a strong character and had a very big role in all of this stuff. And what you've done now is turn her into a modern, jealous, selfish bitch.
Oh, the classic these days. Yeah.
It is completely against character. And when that turn happens, the more normal audience probably won't notice because they don't know what's supposed to happen. But you're like, if anybody knows the future of what's supposed to come from you're like, that's wrong.
Right.
It's totally wrong. Christopher Walken was Christopher Walken. He didn't walking it up or nothing. He's just there. He's fine.
I heard he wasn't in it a lot.
No, he's in it maybe 10 minutes, if that.
Yeah.
If that. Like he's in like the midpoint-ish, and then he shows up again mostly at the end. I mean, that's the thing. A lot of characters get the shaft. The Mentats, the guild, all that is almost completely lost in the shuffle. I don't even think that Chani has her familial connection to Liette Kynes as she does in the book either, because that's never brought up at all in this one. They don't even mention Kynes at all in this one. Which is a big part of it because that's her dad in the original book. I mean, they gender swapped it in the movie, but when he dies in the book, she becomes the leader of the Fremen of that group. And none of that's touched upon or even brought up. So Paul getting with her de facto makes him the lead. Like, that's what I'm saying. There's all kinds of bits and pieces and things in here that are supposed to be there. They're like, and here's the thing that bothers me most is that Denny took more time than the sci-fi series did with 3 90-minute parts in 2 movies. And he still didn't manage to get half of what they did in that. Even David Lynch managed to get more in a 2 hour and 13-minute cut of Dune than he did in 2 movies that are almost 3 hours long each.
Dang.
Now, it sounds like I'm pissy and I hated the movie. I'm just disappointed. I loved it. It's great. As far as the visuals, it's stunning. It's almost everything visually what you would imagine Dune would be. Almost every character is perfectly cast or done well. Florence Pugh is the only other thing I was like, she's good in it, but they dressed her like this 1940s movie star, and I don't like it. It doesn't fit the character. But other than that, she's fine. The rest of the cast, like I said, is amazing. There's just a few other minor things I wish they would have had, but it's just her thing right there. That whole thing kind of really left a sour taste in my mouth as I'm leaving the movie.
I mean, it doesn't sound to me like they hated the movie or saw grapes. I think it sounded to me like you have a respect for the story and the books, and you've clearly read them. So it sounds.
Well, no, actually, I haven't. I just know a lot about them.
I thought maybe you did, but it sounds like you know enough about.
Just from knowing, like, this is like almost the most one-to-one. There's a few differences. That's the thing, is I know enough about it that I know the differences pretty much from what is in the book and in this. You know, like, I mean, I know enough. I've never actually read it. So.
Right. Well, but like I'm saying, there's like
I'm just not gonna lie and say I have, right? I'm like, no, I haven't.
You're a fan of the material, the source material.
Absolutely, and I think it's a great book.
Where the story is supposed to go.
I'm sure it's a great book, but I mean, as far as the story, that's what I meant. Is the story is great. I love the story. I see what's come from that story, has inspired, and I would just like to see it now that we have the technology to do it, because that's kind of been the two things that have really gotten in the way of adapting this book before have been A, just the technology to do it, and B, it's just such a huge story. And it doesn't feel like it, but it is, because so much happens in certain amounts of time. And that's probably my other biggest gripe with the second film, is it does not have the time jump that the book has. Because there's actually like a 2-year span of time that they jump, and it's not here. This whole second part of the movie takes place within like 6 months. And that's important for various reasons, that a lot has to happen in between. Their babies need to be born and other things need to happen. It's like that don't happen in this movie. And you're just like, wait a minute here. You're cramming and rushing things. And the ending is kind of twisted in a weird way. And again, I know you guys are just like, whatever, because you've never seen it or anything like that. I'm sure some of the people in the audience are cringing and they're going, no. And I've had a lot of people going, oh, you're insane. The movie's amazing. It's like, yes, it's a great technological achievement, but these people that are comparing it to Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, I think you're getting a little ahead of yourself, because we'll have to, first of all, wait and see if this movie even lasts 20 years like Lord of the Rings has so far. Secondly, there is a lot of people. Yes, there was some people when Lord of the Rings came out that kind of griped about things that were left out of the book. But even then, at least people were like, understood most of the stuff that was changed. And the stuff that was changed didn't change the grand point of the story. That it still ended the same way, all that kind of business. This, we're getting to a point where once we hit into Dune Messiah, I have no idea what he's going to do, because he has left so much shit undone or open, or in a way that you have to almost reinvent what the story is by the time you get to it. So I don't know if that's what he's going to do. And you can't even really do Dune Messiah if you're not going to do Children of Dune anyway. Like, you kind of have to, because you can't, otherwise that's the story. The first Paul's story is important. If you're going to tell all of Paul's story, you got to tell all three of those books. And why he's doing just the earlier part is a trilogy and hasn't even brought up Children of Dune yet is beyond me. Although I feel like he must have that in the cards, because he's kitty. He's already technically, you lost your seat, by the way.
Took my spot, yes.
You're not getting it back. Not until he's getting ready. But like, it's like, so it's like, if you're gonna do this, how come you set yourself up in a position to make it more work on yourself, when in this day and age, he could have gotten it all in there. I don't understand. It just makes no sense.
I mean, he was given more, like you said, he was given more time than the Sci-Fi Channel and stuff, and he ends up still leaving stuff out that the Sci-Fi Channel managed to still put in. That sounds crazy.
The movie really kind of needs the narration that the Lynch version has and the sci-fi version. I mean, pieces of it are there, but it's not as much as it should be, because I think a lot of the general audience might get lost with this movie if they don't understand the politics of the world.
I got to get to these. I got to see them. I've never gotten into the Dune saga, but I've always heard that the Sci-Fi Channel ones are really, really good. And of course, the people have always had a love-hate relationship with the David Lynch version. So as far as you go, what do you say? David Lynch or Denis Villeneuve?
I still technically like the Lynch version better.
I've only seen one clip or something where I don't know, the mom like ungags herself and then she speaks in a deep voice. Is like, all right. And then her son does that too, and I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck is going on here?
That's the weirding ways.
But okay, so at least it sounds like these movies will be a little bit debatable. Sounds like the second one might end up becoming a debatable movie after a while, after everybody's.
I think a lot of people ignore some of the stuff I said because they already are.
Huh?
Yeah, I've heard that if you didn't know the book, then it'll just.
That's part of the problem. Is most of these people don't know the book, so they don't.
Yeah, most people know it.
I mean, but we got Chekhov's baby in this motherfucker.
Nice.
I'm sorry, you cannot have a fucking woman pregnant in a movie and not show her having the baby. The baby is never born.
Well, unless she or the baby gets killed, of course.
regardless, it has to be addressed. She's still
yeah.
pregnant she's pregnant in the beginning of the movie, and she's pregnant at the end. She's been pregnant since the last movie.
That's a long pregnancy.
that just makes me think of something funny if they did that on Gilligan's Island. Like, oh, you know, she's pregnant. She's the pregnant character. She's
this movie picks up right where the last one left off.
You're always pregnant.
The problem is it doesn't jump the time jump it's supposed to jump, right? Like,
right. It sounds like that's the biggest problem. Is like for the people who know stories, like the 2-year time jump was not executed. So.
But I don't think a lot of people are going to bitch about it because, like I said, and I think Snow's right. Dune, unlike Lord of the Rings, is such a niche audience that you're really only going to have a small portion of the audience making the gripes that I am.
Well, right. Lord of the Rings touched on a lot more levels. The medieval, the sword, all these different things. This is like sci-fi.
Well, Lord of the Rings is only second to the Bible. As far as
it's like it's like the most popular book ever besides the Bible.
That's true. There you go.
Dune was always sort of an underground type thing, as far as I've always known. I think my older brother read it. I think I remember seeing him have a big.
It was big in the hippie. Book. I mean, of course, Lord of the Rings was too, but Dune was like more for like the really hippie dippy druggy guys would sit there and go like,
Dune,
the whole universe is on your thumbnail, man.
Yeah.
I just dropped acid and Oreos are chasing me.
Can't let the big government tell you not to see Dune. You gotta see Dune. You'll discover the secrets of the whole universe.
It's all about the oil, man.
Who holds the oil runs the world.
Oh yeah, the Jodorowsky Dune documentary is definitely a great watch.
Yeah.
I wish we kind of would have got that movie, but then I don't know how Dune would have been after that. That thing, I don't know if you guys know anything about that, but that thing was going to be
I know a little bit about it, but not a whole lot about it.
Yeah, it was going to be like Monty Python's Dune.
Yeah. It'd been interesting. Would we have gotten the new Dune movies if that was made? Who knows? All right. Well, anything else you want to say about it or anything?
Really, no. I mean, I know this is going to kind of be a short show for us, but you know, I
do have one more.
So deep in Dune that you do it. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were done.
No, I had one. I had 3, and so.
Okay, go for it then. But
I mean, if you had anything else you want to say about Dune,
because I mean, you guys are not really into it. You don't know half the ins and outs, and I don't want to bore you with it. So
you're not boring me because you're actually making me want to see the movies more with your description. Even with your gripes about it, makes me want to see I definitely been wanting to see the Lynch one, and I'm really curious about the sci-fi one because I've actually heard a lot of people say the sci-fi ones are actually really damn good. So that interests me. And then of course I do want to see the new ones. I have to find the time to get into all these Dune stories. It's just like you've actually piqued my interest in watching these, though I really cannot stand Zendaya. I hate Zendaya. It's like it took me to the 3rd Spider-Man movie just to warm up to her a little bit just in that movie.
I'm kind of surprised that people haven't been saying more about her in this movie.
Right.
And I think it's mostly just because they don't know what has changed. And again, like, I don't know who's responsible for it, if it was Denny's choice. I almost think that the story was originally set up to go pretty much the way it was meant to go, but I got to believe that her people, and this is just my speculating, her people took one look at the script and said, you can't have her acting this way. And they changed. They pressured him into a change. Now here's the thing: Chani does leave for a while, or not leave, but Paul does leave her alone for a while. But that's because she's actually raising their kid. Like,
yeah.
But this movie is not the same. Like, that's the thing. She baby pregnant? We don't know. They didn't even bring it up. Like I said, they don't even have Aaliyah, his sister, which is, we've known that Rebecca Ferguson's character's been pregnant since the end of the last movie.
Yep.
Not to spoil too much, but I mean, it's like people would expect that, and like when that shit doesn't happen, even if you've seen just the Lynch Dune, you know she's there. It's like, wait a minute, that's important. Like, and it is very important later on.
Here.
I mean, anyway,
No.
it's a good movie. Check it out if you haven't seen them before. I can recommend all of them. I guess I would say start with reading the book if you can have the time or really want to dive into it. But if not, start with maybe like the Lynch Dune, then go to like the Spice Diver cut of that, then the sci-fi version, probably be my suggestion. I mean, the Lynch Dune, maybe Rook wouldn't really get into the Lynch one, but the Spice Diver cut.
I do have the older Dune. I just
Oh, do you?
watched
Okay.
it. I just haven't watched it yet. So I do plan to check it out at some point.
I mean, the theatrical cut's pretty good, but the Spice Diver cut is so much better because it's closer to the book. But yeah, I mean, the Spice Diver cut you can find on YouTube and shit. So
yeah. I didn't know where it like originated from because somebody put it all together there.
Sort of. I think it may even predate YouTube. It was originally like passed around a lot of the
conventions and stuff.
Well, more so like digital sites like Pirate Bay and all that shit. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
When people are doing fan cuts and stuff, it's one of the more. Well, it's one of the only fan cuts to ever get an official release, even though it's on a German Blu-ray. But yeah.
All right. Okay, guys.
But he actually went back and finished. See, that's the thing is the TV cut has a bunch of these scenes in it, but they never finished the effects because they were going to spend no money on it. And back then, it cost a lot of goddamn money to make people's eyes blue.
Yeah.
Well, now in the last 20 years or whatever, it's been so much easier. People can do that shit on their home computer. So that's what this guy did. He finished all the scenes off with special effects and all that stuff. So people actually look like they're supposed to look with the eyes, and he fixed a few things that were not correct. I mean, so it's not exactly like he's re-envisioning it or anything. He's just kind of finishing it off. Right. And then he recut it in the order that it should be in as far as closest to this Dune shooting script. And then they fix the ending is the only other thing. So yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of cool because also there's like stuff that was on the TV version, because the TV version is one of those movies where Dino De Laurentiis went and added a buttload of movie to it to split it up over 2 nights to make more money. If I could talk.
Yeah, on TV.
So they added like a whole hour of footage, but David Lynch is like, fuck you, I didn't get to edit this. Take my name off it. And he don't like Dune anyway. I mean, he's kind of slowly warming back up to it now, but for years it was like one of those things, don't even talk to him about it.
Yeah.
Because he said basically that movie is the reason he insisted on always having Final Cut after that.
Good old David Lynch.
Because the studio took it away from him and cut it down to 2 hours and 13 minutes.
Yep. Okay.
Then when they put it on TV, they added this whole new intro to help explain shit. But Spice Diver, what he's done is he took that intro, pieces of it that are important, and he spattered them throughout his cut, because you got Paul, who's always looking at like basically like an iPad thing and learning history and just things for him to learn. And so what he's done is now spread them out throughout the movie on those little iPad scenes.
Oh,
so when he's like learning about the history of Dune, he's not just learning about the history of Dune like he is in the original movie. He's learning about the entire history of everything, basically, that we need to know.
That's actually pretty clever. That's pretty clever. Yeah. Okay, I guess.
There's even an up-converted 4K version of it. I think it looks like shit, but that's just me. That's one of the ones that's on YouTube. Yeah, somebody up-converted it.
Okay.
But the 4K scan of Dune is amazing. The Lynch one, it is.
Yeah.
Well, of course, it's Arrow. So
I mean, Arrow does amazing work. So
I don't know who did it initially, but yeah, like it looks good. Some people might complain that it's a bit grainy. Well, I say fuck you.
Film should have grain, people.
It's supposed to have grain. Yeah. It's supposed to look like that.
It's supposed to.
And really, like the one with the production design is the Lynch Dune. I mean, just the amazing. And that's the thing, is they thought about every little thing in the world, right? Like when you see the palace in Dune and the Emperor's Palace, it looks like you would imagine a palace. But once you get to the Atreides Palace, since they live on a planet that's mostly like our planet, like wood, oceans, stuff like that, the palace is not like stone. It's actually all wood, but it's like an amazing woodworking done. Like they actually thought about these things, right? And then when you get to Uruk-hai or the Dune or whatever, Arrakis, I mean, not Uruk-hai. That's a whole other thing. That's fucking Lord of the Rings. When you get to Arrakis, the home Dune, basically, everything there is stone, right? It's all stone and marble and shit like that, and other stones. Everything's made out of. So they do a really good job of like just little things, paying attention to, you know, what the big emperor castles, all marble floors and gold plating and all that kind of shit. So like even the worlds that they're on, they kind of emulate certain things that they did. Like that movie has such an amazing detailed production design that they even stole some of the designs for the new Dune, like the still suits are almost exactly out of the original, and some other things like they don't give it credit, but you could totally tell. I mean, so like, and there's a few other things that you're like, oh yeah, he clearly stole that from the Lynch Dune. But I mean, they just so much stuff. The design of the original Dune is just amazing.
Yeah.
So the costumes and all that shit. And then of course you get to, you know, the Harkonnens themselves on their actual planet. Now everything there is like piping and iron and steel and, you know, all that kind of shit.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will say you have interested me a little more than I've been in a while to see these movies, and I'm very curious.
Well, keep your eye out for the AIDS the AIDS reference, because when this movie came out, of course, that's when AIDS was the first thing. So they had this thing with the Baron where he's constantly getting worked on because he's got sores all over him.
Oh yeah.
Right. Well, that's not in the book. David Lynch, I think, once referred to it as space herpes, but it is an allegory for AIDS. And that was where, like, because the gay community freaked out on this book, or they had for years. And then the movie, when it came out, Lynch almost made it worse by adding the AIDS allegory to it.
Right.
Because the Baron is lustfully gay, but he's a fucking psychotic. And he almost covets his own nephews and shit too. So it's like, they're like, oh, why you make the gay guy the villain? It's like, well, not is he just gay, but he's just like disgusting in general. So if you want to compare that to a gay person, I guess that's your problem. I mean, I get it. You're upset that he's killing people, but he does worse things than that too. I mean, or not worse things than that, but just as bad things that you're not even touching upon, right? Like, he's just a vile creature in general, right? Like,
right.
I mean, he's so like, but in the new movie, they've completely almost avoided any kind of gay references to the Baron, which is funny. I mean, even though he has slept with women, it's just he's just that sick and deprived kind of thing. He's just kind of this. I don't know how to explain it. It's more about the power, the thrill of it, the control, that kind of thing. He's like the worst kind of leader you could ever think of. A glutton who's just egotistical and you know all the bad things you love in a great villain.
I get you. I mean, that honestly,
the floating fat man.
Honestly, to be honest with you, like, we know that Clive Barker himself is, to take it back sort of the Lord of Illusion, like one of the main bad guys is, he's a gay guy, you know, and we know Clive Barker.
I'm surprised he did that. Yeah.
Yeah. So like he's like the actual villain of the original story, which becomes the secondary villain in the movie. He's a gay guy, and it's very clear, but he's doing some pretty evil crap, and it's just because he's evil. So I'm surprised he didn't get a little slack for that himself, but I get where you come from. But good night, Brian Barth. Thanks for hanging with us as well. What's up, Scarif? Physical media all the way. But I guess we'll move on to me if that's what we got, and then we'll close it out.
Nah, I'm done.
Okay. All right. Speaking of which, this movie just sadly got a remake. Don't tell Mom the Babysitter's dead.
Out of nowhere, like, no, I didn't even know it was coming, and all of a sudden we got a stupid trailer. Oh my god,
it looked so bad. The remake did.
I wonder if they remastered that or not, because the version I have is in the old flip cover, and it's at the wrong speed.
Yeah, that's the wrong speed. They didn't remaster it.
I think what they did is they have a print from the UK and they put it on the US version, because it's like just that fast. It's not like everybody sounds like chipmunks, but it just feels like it's that much faster than it should be.
There's certain scenes like it moves real fast. That's why I was watching.
Yeah,
this
it's fucked up.
Yeah, I was watching. I was like, it almost feels like there's DNR, but then it also feels like no, that's not DNR. What is this? It's kind of like weird at certain spots. So it desperately.
Well, it's an
needs a
old ass
Blu-ray.
print. Yeah, it's an old ass print. Yeah.
Yeah. So
maybe it came off of like a fucking laser disc from the UK or some shit.
What surprised me?
Because it feels like it was sped up for PAL. That's what I'm trying to get at. Because for those who don't know, TV in the US runs at a different frame rate than PAL because of the megahertz. So they run at a faster frame rate or whatever in the UK. So to make up for it back in the day before digital, they would just have movies run at a little bit faster speed so that they had the extra few frames in, so in that case, it would just make the movie run a little faster. So like sometimes it would cut off anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes in running time. Like all my old DVDs of the Ninja Turtle movies that come from imports, they're all from the UK and German versions, which run at PAL speed. So they're all like sped up a little bit. Yeah.
Jeez. Yeah. When I was watching,
and that's what I felt like when I'm watching this. I'm like, this is wrong. Something's off about this.
That's what I was.
Off. And that's probably why you get that ghosting effect too. Mm-hmm. That's probably why. Because I remember that too. I've not watched it in a while. I have it. I have the old, like I said, snapper case of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been so pissed because they've never re-released it. I love that fucking movie. It's hilarious.
Oh, it's
and
great,
that fucking remake trailer. Oh my God, does it look horrendous? Horrible.
And of course, they've swapped everybody, and it's going to be, from what I understand, it's actually supposed to be even darker than what the original one was. So that's going to be fun.
Yes, no, I did too. I thought it was like a. Yeah, Snow says I thought it was a parody trailer. So that's exactly what I said. It felt like something from Be Funny or Die or whatever, the Funny or Die or whatever the hell thing.
I know, like the way the scene plays out is like, it's just was so bad. And like, even what's with the Bible, holding the Bible? She didn't even have the Bible when
because it's going to be modern times.
It's modern times. She's a little white church evil woman trying to take care of these black kids.
What's going to be funny is if she gets killed by drive-by shooting this time.
Oh, that would be horrible. But I'm with you. I remember I have not watched this DVD. I don't think I've ever really watched this DVD, to be honest with you. But I haven't seen this movie in a long, long time. And I don't know. I was just thinking about it, and I was like, Christina Applegate, so hot back in the day. I loved it. Love this movie. And I was like, I want to watch it. And then like I did notice it looked a little weird. But the movie is just like it's. I kind of took a trip to the 90s this week, as you can tell with the movies I pick, with the everything I pick. But it's like it was so fun. So like the mom of these kids, like she's got these kids. She's going to go to Australia with her boyfriend, leave her kids alone for 2 months, and then she hires this babysitter, this old crotchety woman, who seems sweet when she gets there, but after the mom leaves, she turns into this old crotchety woman, and she ends up dying within minutes after the mom is gone. And so they take the body somewhere, drop it off, and then they decide to lie to their mom and to watch themselves for 2 months while their mom's away. But of course, all the money the mom left was actually left with the old woman, and went in the trunk they put her in, and they can't go back to get the money. So they, Christina Applegate, who is the oldest child at 17, fudges her resume and becomes like a executive assistant at a fashion place, and lies about her age, and thus the story and the mishaps, all that occur. It's just like a fun movie. It's a great movie, great cast. Dishes are done, man. That's a line I still utter to this day every time. It works very well, and it sucks to see movies like that get a remake when it does not need a remake. What it needs is a new Blu-ray. That's what it needs. Yeah. There's probably best bet is skip the remake, Hollifield. It's not going to be any good. I did hear that Random Bread that Lee Lawano was going to work on Escape from New York remake, but I think that might have been canceled. So I don't know anymore at that time if he's part of that. I think somebody else. I think the last we saw was sadly the people that made the new Scream movies. We're working on a Escape from New York movie, which is horrible. But anyways, yeah, that's my last. I don't have much else to say about it. It's just if you've ever seen Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, great movie. Doesn't need a remake. Christina Applegate was smoking hot back in the day. It's a fun movie. Oh, what's her name's in the movie too, which I almost forgot about that. From the Halloween movies, Danielle Harris plays the little sister who's a tomboy. So she's in that movie, so that was cool. And then of course Barry, what's his name? It's not Barry. What is his name? Keith Coogan. Keith Coogan as her brother, who's like a metalhead who becomes a cook, is really great in the movie, and they really play well off each other. And of course, we get David Duchovny's in the movie too. So before X-Files. So that's always fun to see him. He's still got like the '80s style in that movie. He's got like the suit jacket with the sleeves pushed up and the slick back hair. So I mean, we weren't that far removed from the '80s when this came out, was we? What year was this?
No, he always played those kind of schmucks before X-Files. That, Beethoven. I swear there's like another one or two that he played that kind of a snooty schmug. Yeah.
Yeah, like a yuppie type guy.
Yeah.
Yep. then he became Mulder. But yeah, it's a fun movie. Like I said, I don't have much else to say about it. I think we all but Rook there have seen it, and we can all agree that the remake will suck, will flop, and they're going to blame the fans. So that's it for me.
I'm surprised they can make this movie now. The mom would definitely be arrested by Child Protective Services nowadays.
Yeah. I mean that kind of feels wrong that you're going to have like this black family have a dead white woman.
I mean, yeah, like the original movie is like a step away from Weekend at Bernie's, right? Like the only reason it works is because this lady, and even then, like people are kind of like, you're gonna be gone that fucking long. You don't leave your kids with a fucking stranger,
right?
Like a lot of people said that shit,
right?
Like I mean, it's just whatever. But yeah, it's just I mean, even back then, the movie's kind of barely passable. It's like, yeah, let's get past the first part just so we can get into the rest of it because. Yeah, the rest of the story is pretty good. It's just there's a few unbelievable spots, but if you can kind of just get past the nonsensicalness. But even back then, we didn't really question it as much. But even then, some people are still like, yeah, you normally wouldn't leave your kids with somebody for over a week or so. Not even a week, like a weekend or maybe at most with a stranger. But even then, it was still pretty rare. Like, unless she's really that desperate because she has no family nearby. But I don't know.
What are they doing where they need to be gone for 2 full months?
Well, she's going to get going on to Australia with some boyfriend too on top of it all.
Yeah, and they never show the boyfriend ever.
Are they rich?
I mean, they have a pretty decent house in the movie, but it's like the kids are like, she's got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids.
I think it's 5 kids and a dog, and then
in the house.
And she's a widower, I believe.
I'm just saying that sounds expensive, and she can afford to be gone for 2 months.
The boyfriend was paying for it,
like not working and all that shit. I mean, damn.
The boyfriend was paying for the trip, so she was taking off.
Yeah, do they even address whether or not she worked before? But that's a big deal. That's the funny part too, Rook, because like they don't address that, but then they make this big deal out of because when they bury the bitch, they drop her off at the fucking because after she dies, they get scared, so they just drop her off at the
the morgue area.
The morgue area with like a note,
like a briefcase,
and they don't check her, and she has all the money and shit that mom left.
Yeah,
so they have no money. So like that's the whole thing, like whole plot.
So they die in the movie. Gotcha.
Yeah, the aunt or not aunt, Jesus Christ, the
kids don't die. No,
the kids don't. But like she comes in, she's there for like what, a day or two, and
like
then she
croaks. Not even a day. She's
not even a day, and she croaks. So they panic, and they don't want to tell their mom because for various reasons, and then like this is the fucked up part because like. Nowadays, you can almost see this story as a headline, but they would just put the bitch in the basement. Like, like oh God, to me, it's just like, okay. And then, it's just kind of like this whole idea of like, she needs to get a job. So that's kind of the plot, which is kind of whatever. Cause like, you get it. Cause like, it's just about her growing up because they present her in the beginning as this, very ditzy, irresponsible,
She
You
said
know,
the
on the
beauty.
verge of
Until-
adulthood.
She had
She
to
was just
decide
an
if she
average
went to
hot girl
college.
until the babysitter's dead. Now she's got to find a job.
Yep.
That's pretty much it. Yeah. And then
Yeah,
she's
that's pretty much it. And she's
Yeah.
got to
take care of her
in
brothers.
the
and her
process, not only
sisters.
she get a job, but she gets her brothers and sisters back kicked into shape and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a typical 80s kind of movie, but like I said, if it was real, that mother'd be in fucking jail.
Mhm. Yeah.
The two adult kids would probably be in jail. I mean, oh my
It'd
god,
be
this
pretty
fucking
bad.
poster. What the fuck? Did you see the poster?
Oh yeah,
just-
look, she's in the fridge.
The poster I just saw this for the first time.
Yeah, for the remake.
Oh
Look,
my
they got her in the fucking fridge.
god. You fucking kidding me?
You keep food in the fridge. Why would you want to put the body in there?
Oh,
And you know that it's just going to rip off
God.
the original movie because right in the trailer they have the line that the boss, and of course she's got to be a white chick, right?
Mhm.
Which the Joanna
Actually-
Cassidy character from the original film.
Yeah. And she actually.
I'm working on that, Rose.
Yeah, I'm working
whatever,
on that.
yeah.
Rose. Yeah, make sure you say because it's like.
Oh wait, so
I'm
how
getting
horrible,
right on that, Rose, or whatever it is. Yeah,
How horrible is the babysitter?
Oh,
she's
in
a
the movie,
bitch.
yeah, she's just like a bitch woman who's just like, you're gonna listen to me, you're gonna fall in line, I'm your boss. You know, what actually kills her is when she walks into the brother's room, the older brother's room, and she sees all of his metal posters and all of his clothes and everything on the floor, and she just like freaks out and goes sits down and dies. That's how she dies in the movie.
She goes, sits down, and dies.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I was
No.
expecting it to be like she's like literally. All right, you said hell. Well, now you get every one of you gets 10 spankings, and then no food for dinner or something, and then whatever. It sounds like she's just a cranky
Well,
old lady, I guess. Like a
She like goes around.
but
like,
I mean,
what-
only after a day.
Yeah, it's like, but she wants to. The mom leaves. She's telling him what to do. She tells the one kid who's always watching TV. She says, "TV rots your brain." Turns the TV off. Gives him an encyclopedia, and she says, "I demand a full report on Aardvarks, 400-page report on Aardvarks by tomorrow morning." And then one girl who's like a tomboy, she likes playing baseball. She puts her in her dress. It says, "Little girls should not be wearing boys' clothes or whatever," which they get in trouble with that nowadays. And then they should be wearing dresses. And then she tells Christina Applegate's character, you know, you've got to grow up. And then the one kid, he's like, you should be messing around with harlots because he's out in the car making out with his girlfriend. And then when she walks into the older brother's room and sees all of his metal stuff and his all that, she freaks out and dies.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, like Tom said, that's like the part of the movie. It's like you sort of got to get past that part because that is where the dark comedy of the dark comedy.
It's
comes
very
from.
Weekend at Bernie's esque.
Yeah,
Like you kind
The
of
way
just
you
kind
said that,
of
the way you
go
just-
with it.
The way you described that was like, that's the plot progression of these characters. They're said by her in one line, and now here's the movie.
Yeah. And then after she dies, they get rid of her, and it's like, okay, now we can get. Because I mean, it is very Weekend at Bernie's-esque and stuff, and it takes a minute to get through that. But then once you get through that, the movie is really good. It's solid cast, solid acting by everybody. It's a fun movie.
Yeah,
But
because to me, it's like the neighbors would always check up or know. The parent that always leaves tells the neighbors that they're
There's
be
no
gone for an
neighbors or
extended
anything.
period of time, and then it's like, nope.
I'm gonna miss her. She was such a nice lady. We never met her, but she left us all that money.
I know that's at the end of the movie. She's like, "You got any left? You want to go back to Vegas?" Yeah, because the two guys that find her body at the end of when it goes, when the movie ends, they ended up keeping the money and buried her. But yeah, much like the new Crow, this does not need a remake. It's going to suck, and just watch the original. Just give us the original on Blu-ray. Just give us the original on Blu-ray. Which is funny because I was looking on Blu-ray.com and they still have a Blu-ray version up on their website saying it's the 30th anniversary coming soon. And it's like, that was, I don't know how many years ago by now. I think maybe 5 years ago by now. And it's still up over there. I'm like, I don't think that's coming, guys. But yeah, there you have it. There's my final pick of the night. Don't tell mom the Babysitter dead. I don't even. I just was in a mood to watch that, and I hadn't watched it in years. And then all of a sudden, next thing I know, boom, we get a trailer today and everything. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird.
Has it ever been on like Netflix or anything like that? Does anybody? I should look and see if it.
I think it has been. I think I've seen that title before.
I would say I would think it has had to have had a.
When I first got Netflix, I'm sure that I added.
But the funky thing about it is I think it's like HBO and another company own it. Maybe that's why.
Yeah, it's an HBO movie. It says.
Yeah, and I think Warner released it on disc.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't remember if there's some kind of.
The back of this says Home Box Office Inc., HBO, and Warner Brothers.
It's an HD on Vudu. You know what? I'm going to buy the digital version just to see. It's only $12.99. I mean, I've got the DVD, so.
Right. Well, you can always do that. Well, that won't up converted, though.
I'll make sure it's not up converted.
I'm going to say you could do this, scan the barcode, but then don't they still do that?
No.
They don't do that anymore?
No, not that I know of.
No. Used to be able.
That was only on participating titles anyway.
Yeah. I haven't done digital, so.
It looks a lot better than the DVD. It sounds like it's in the right speed, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all right, cool. Not perfect, but hey, better than the DVD. That thing looks like ass. It's an old ass DVD.
It does. It does look bad. When I was watching, I was like, something's off about this DVD. But I'm glad I have it because who knows if we'll ever get a Blu-ray whenever. So I'm glad I have it. But there you guys go. There's my final pick of the night. Any final words from you guys before we close it all down?
I will watch movies next week, and I'll have at least 3 or if not more to talk about.
Oh, there you go. You got the.
This is HBO Video. Yeah, I don't know if they just had their own division or what. Because they were owned by Warner at this point, but these don't say Warner anywhere on them.
Mine says Warner on the back, but mine's a newer one. Mine's a bit of a newer one.
Mine doesn't say. Mine doesn't say
2009.
Mine just says HBO.
Mine down here says Warner. Which nobody could probably see it.
Not on mine. No Warner, nothing. It says 2000 HBO Home Video, all rights reserved.
Yeah, mine says 2009 Home Box Office Inc., all rights reserved, HBO Home Box Office, and distributed by, well, it just says distributed by Warner Home Video.
See, because that's the thing I was wondering, because I think a lot of those HBO movies that they produced, they have like weird video deals. Like I think Image has some. Then HBO had their own video division for a while.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Anyway.
Yeah. But appreciate you guys. Thank you, Rook. Thank you, Tom, for being here as always, and everybody out in the chat and the audience out there watching. Thank you guys for hanging with us. I hope you had a good time and enjoyed some physical media. As always, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
How you doing? Bitches leave.